Chapter 1525. I bid 10,000 kilograms of immortal Tao stones. The expert from the underworld faction said. He kept staring at Liang Yan and smiled sinisterly. Such a beauty. I can't wait to get close to her. Ha ha ha. I bid 13,000 kilograms of immortal Tao stones. The young man from the Odd Sky sect said. He liked young beauties, and he couldn't wait to buy this beauty from the Celestial Court. Although the Skirich young master was very famous, how could the underworld be afraid of him? They all began to bid, wanting to buy Liang Yan. On the stage, Liang Yan was terrified and uneasy. Everyone's eyes were like knives, making her more and more afraid. Her heart was filled with humiliation and endless humiliation. Some women below the stage jeered. There was no pity in their eyes, and they were smiling proudly. This was especially true for the immortals. They had lost a lot of face in the past few days. Now that they saw Liang Yan placed on the stage as an item to be auctioned, they were in a very good mood. They could not help but burst into laughter. 30,000 kilograms of immortal Tao stones. The attendant representing the Tongtian young master stood up and said coldly, "The servant of the Tongtian young master is mine. There's no reason we can't get her. Fellow cultivators, if you have the money, please raise the price. I'll accompany you to the end." Bastard. The experts from the underworld faction didn't look good. 30,000 kilograms of immortal Tao stones was already a big fortune. Although they could afford it, if they raised the price, the Tongtian young master would be unhappy. Suddenly, the scene on the stage changed drastically. A man who was as bright as the sun appeared. He walked with majestic steps, and his body flowed with brilliant light. He stood on the stage. Although there wasn't much of his aura leaking out, anyone could tell that there was a red ocean inside this man's body. It was surging violently, filling up the entire auction venue. Dan Yangshu, why is he here? Is this woman really a disciple of the Danzong? The auction hall was filled with discussions. This was a famous young expert from Danzong, Dan Yangshu. He was quite famous. Even though Danzong specialized in alchemy, Dan Yangshu was also considered to be one of the top 100 experts in the future monarch rankings because he possessed the Samadhi true fire. Needless to say, the power of this flame was one of the strongest flames in the cultivation world. Dan Yangshu was the #1 cultivator in Danzong, and it was not an exaggeration to call him the saint. Fellow Taoist, please go back and tell young Master Tongtian that the disciples of Danzong are not for him to buy. Dan Yangshu's words were calm, but they carried a great majesty. He had the bearing of a great sex saint child, and he was able to shake people's souls. What do you mean? The azure-robed man's face darkened slightly. However, Dan Yangshu was no ordinary person. He had a noble status and represented the entire Danzong. Thus, the azure-robed man did not dare to be too rude. Dan Yangshu's tone was calm, but his aura wasn't. A blazing aura that could burn the sky leaked out, making him look like a sovereign of fire. He said coldly, "Liang Yan has joined the alchemy sect. Isn't that clear enough?" How domineering. Fan Jian was stunned. He was really surprised that Dan Yangshu could come and even stand on the stage. After all, he was the future saint of Danzong. He was qualified to represent the entire Danzong. His words carried a lot of weight. The Xian people probably did not want to become enemies with Danzong. Otherwise, they would not have allowed Dan Yangshu to stand here. What do you Xian people mean by this? I need someone to talk to. Are you messing with us? You said you were going to auction a woman from the Celestial Court. Why did you come here? What do you take us for? The whole place was in an uproar. Many people's faces turned ugly. They felt that they had been fooled. Boom! All of a sudden, all the doors of the auction hall were shut tight. This scene made the atmosphere in the ancient city turn cold. The whole auction hall was sealed inside and out. Everyone wanted to know what was going on inside. Is the young Devil King really here? Someone said with a trembling voice. If he really came, it would be a dead end. Is it necessary to protect the dignity of the Celestial Court at the cost of his own life? Someone murmured. They did not know much about the young Devil King, but if he really dared to come, they would really admire him. Even more so, as the auction hall was sealed. After the seal was activated, the huge, ancient city quickly entered a state of alert. The Xian people's army sealed the space in all directions. The Xian people's array masters also controlled the protective array in the ancient city to prevent the remaining members of the Celestial Court from escaping. However, what the experts in the city did not realize was that the outside world was not quiet. Outside the East City Gate, a man with messy hair was walking over. Dong, dong, dong. Step by step, his aura gradually changed. Finally, he was like a martial god rising from the ground, emitting a cold, murderous aura as he rushed towards the East City Gate. Sister Ye and Big Brother are very close. If Big Brother is still alive, he will definitely stand up. Thousands of miles away from the South City Gate, a burly man with great strength rushed over. Tears rolled in his eyes as he growled, "I want to represent Big Brother, but they're going to fight." Boom! His aura skyrocketed, and thick, evil dragons spurted out of his pores one after another. They surrounded him, raised their heads, and roared as they rushed towards the city gate. It was not only here. Shocking, murderous auras bloomed at the 4 city gates, even forming some kind of resonance with each other. At this moment, they were very clear that their brothers were all here. They were entrenched outside the city gate, ready to launch a thunderous attack at any time. I will represent Su Yin and fight with them. At this moment, their hearts were filled with monstrous anger. The Xian people's 3rd city gate had an oppressive atmosphere. Anyone could sense that it was a bit restless outside the city. One after another, mighty lords with vigorous chi and blood like dragons were forcing their way over. Good, they are really here. I was afraid that they would not come. The Xian people gathered in the ancient city laughed angrily. Today, we will wipe out the Celestial Court in one fell swoop. Ha ha! Kill everyone who comes and leave no one alive. The Celestial Court's good days are coming to an end. At the auction house, from all directions, a group of Xian people descended from the void. Their cold eyes scanned everyone who came to participate in the auction, trying to find a young devil king, Xia Kunlun. Someone sneered and said, "Friends, please calm down. Since everyone is here, they must want to deal with the Celestial Court. A woman is nothing to them." That's right. I think the people of the Celestial Court are here, or in the 3rd city of our people. Maybe they are preparing to attack the 3rd city of our people. The 6 perfected immortals of the Xian people were entrenched in 4 directions. One of them, an old man in white, said coldly, "Wouldn't it be better to let them kneel here like dogs after we suppress them?" Like dogs? Fan Jian was furious. Su Yin was his big brother. Damn it, wasn't he a dog? Big brother, kill them. Fan Jian was eager. When he saw Su Yin, he found that he was staring at the white-robed, perfected immortal, just like Zhu Sheng. "I'm going to kill him, kill him." Veins popped out all over Zhu Sheng's body. His eyes were red, because this white-robed, perfected immortal was none other than the Ancestral Hall's patriarch. Zhu Sheng wouldn't forget him even if he turned into ashes. However, Zhu Sheng had never imagined that Patriarch Barricade would become a true immortal. Standing in the middle of the auction, he said coldly, "Kneeling before me like a dog? I don't care who he is. As long as he's from the Heavenly Court, he'll die a horrible death. Junior sister, let's go." At this time, Dan Yangshu gave Liang Yan a look. "Wait." The Ancestral Hall's patriarch stared at Liang Yan and said eerily, "You said she joined Danzong. Dan Yangshu, you want to take her away. The Xian people have no objection, but she must admit in front of the world that she will leave the Celestial Court forever." "How dare you?" Dan Yangshu was furious. Was he trying to pin Liang Yan on the pillar of shame for the rest of her life? We agree. The scene in the auction house changed drastically. The powerhouses of the underworld all stood up and stared coldly at Dan Yangshu. Oh no! Dan Yangshu's face was gloomy, but his heart was filled with endless shame. He roared in his mind, "The Xian people are too much. If I were a perfected immortal, no one would dare to stand in my way." He was furious, but the current situation didn't allow him to use force. "Senior brother, how can I accept the humiliation today? Even if I die, I won't let them get what they want. Liang Yan said angrily. Otherwise, how can I face the Taoist temple, my family, and him? Ha ha ha. The man in green laughed and said, Dan Yangshu, do you see that? She's from the Celestial Court. I think the Danzong shouldn't get involved. Let's start the auction again. He. The patriarch of the Ancestral Hall laughed cruelly. You mean Su Yan, right? Looks like you're close to him. Unfortunately, he's already dead, buried in the darkness. What a joke. He wanted to kill me back then. What a pity. Ha ha, I'm still alive, but he's already dead. You're the one who's funny. Liang Yan glared at the patriarch of the Ancestral Hall. What right do you have to mention him? What right do you have to slander him? You were the one who ran for your life back then. You have no right. No right at all. Bastard, you bitch. Why is the Danzong still protecting her? This woman wants to kill the Xian people. She must stay here forever. The patriarch of the Ancestral Hall was furious. He raised his hand and was about to slap Liang Yan. How dare you? Dan Yangshu was furious. He raised his hand and tried to stop the patriarch of the Ancestral Hall. But someone was faster than him, so fast that he couldn't react in time. He saw a big hand grab the patriarch of the Ancestral Hall's arm. Dan Yangshu's pupil shrank. Did the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun really come? Old man, you're really tough. A cold voice exploded in the auction hall. From this moment on, all the heroes in the hall stared at a man with a blurry figure. He strode over and grabbed the patriarch of the Ancestral Hall by the arm. His entire body was trembling. His arm had been crushed, and his bones were beginning to shatter one by one. He let out a shrill roar in pain. Quickly suppress him. Boom! Thousands of killing lights surged out of the sealed auction hall. The Xian people were already prepared. They had a hunch that the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun would appear. Now, all the Xian people's experts in the hall erupted and pounced on Su Yan. I hope he's the young Devil King and not Xia Kunlun. No matter who he is, since he's here, he must die. After a brief moment of glory, a large number of Xian people's experts came. They were all very confident. There was no suspense in this battle. No matter who came, in the heavily guarded third city of the Xian people, they would die. Boom! Energy exploded in the sky. The whole auction hall was about to be devoured. The experts who attacked were very decisive. They stood in their peak state and attacked Su Yan with lightning speed. You're not qualified to suppress me in a killing trap. Su Yan let out a low roar, and his aura completely changed. The moment his body and puppet merged, he became extremely terrifying. It was as if a peerless, true immortal had come into being. He emitted an unparalleled energy fluctuation that swept through the entire auction venue. Crack! The energy field in the sky collapsed at the same time. What kind of killer weapon did he use? Dan Yangshu's expression changed. This aura was too terrifying. It was like the eruption of a peerless, immortal demon. What kind of killer weapon did he use? No. One by one, the Xian people were terrified. Who was this person? He was like an immortal demon in the sky. They knew that Su Yan had the puppet, but they didn't know that he, in the state of a void immortal, could unleash the super combat power of the puppet, which was equivalent to a level 6 true immortal. They were scared out of their wits. Their bodies trembled, and their perfected immortal bodies were crushed into a pile of mud. Even the sealed auction hall was affected by Su Yan's awakening aura. In the end, the auction hall collapsed. Boom! The auction hall exploded. One after another, energy waves pierced through the sky. It was extremely terrifying. The entire ancient city shook violently. Su Yan was like an immortal demon. His energy swallowed the sea of stars and shook the universe. You all deserve to die for insulting the Celestial Court. Su Yan shouted. His eyes were burning with killing intent. Chapter 1526. His majestic appearance, cold eyes, and terrifying aura were breathtaking. He was like a celestial demon in the sky. The aura he emitted forcefully collapsed the entire auction hall, tearing the sky apart and creating a thunderous sound. Boom! The Xian people's third city shook violently, unable to withstand Su Yan's aura. In the end, it formed a vast storm and whistled out from his body. Everyone was terrified. How terrifying was this magical power? It was as if a true immortal giant dragon was erupting. This was Su Yan, who had merged with the human-shaped puppet at the peak of his power. It's him. He really made a move. Is it the young devil king or Xia Kunlun? How terrifying. What kind of puppet did he merge with? His combat power is too shocking. Outside the 10,000 tribes battlefield, there was also an uproar. Even a major immortal sects and orthodoxies were paying attention to the Xian people's third city. They had a feeling that this battle might attract a large number of Angia from the celestial court. Xian people, you all deserve to die. Su Yan let out a loud roar. His eyes were blazing, the galaxy was vast, and the sun and moon were wailing. The auction hall exploded, and blood gushed out endlessly. A large number of Xian people's Angia were smashed into pieces and exploded into bloody light. Crazy. The spectators outside the ancient city were horrified. What kind of combat power was this? The roar shook the entire city. His domineering aura was boundless and terrifying. So powerful. Danyang Shu was silent. In this area, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. Blood spurted out. Groups of Xian people cultivators died suddenly. The extraordinary combat strength that Su Yan had displayed had somewhat exceeded the extent of his understanding. What kind of puppet was this? Why did it give him such powerful combat power? Immediately after, Su Yan's aura grew rapidly. In the end, it swallowed the sky, the earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars. It flowed with the power of the celestial demon, illuminating the entire region. Liang Yan's delicate body trembled. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. Although Su Yan's aura had changed greatly compared to 10 years ago, Liang Yan could still feel the familiar aura. No, the powerhouse from the underworld shouted in despair. He had originally come to participate in the auction, but now he had encountered Su Yan's thunderous fury. In his spiritual world, there was only a fist that had enlarged and was about to attack him. Pooh! The underworld expert's head was crushed by a single punch, and his entire body exploded. He was terrifying, shocking the world. Thick blood vitality gushed out from his pores, evolving into the power of calamity. It suppressed the entire shattered auction venue and began a trial of death against everyone present. No, you Demon King, stop. I'm just here to participate in the auction. I have no other intentions. They cried out miserably and begged for mercy. Their hearts were filled with regret. Why did they participate in the auction? Why did they provoke this madman? To Su Yan, any expert who came to participate in the auction was treated as an enemy. No matter where they came from, they had to be killed. You all deserve to die for insulting the celestial court. Kill! Another loud roar rang out, like a thunderclap from the ninth heaven, ear-splitting. Groups of experts in front of him trembled like sand. In the end, their bodies were shattered and exploded into bloody light. Those who were still alive were terrified. Who was this person? How could an immortal or a demon be so powerful in such a realm? What kind of puppet did he have? Su Yan had fused with the most powerful puppet. Although it was impossible for him to unleash the puppet's strongest power with his current primordial spirit state, it was enough to push his combat power to a violent state. With such combat power, who could compete with him? All the creatures in the ancient city trembled. Everything happened too quickly, and the scene was extremely bloody. The Xian people's experts of the four city gates could go to help, but Su Yan's actions were too fast and too crazy. He was completely a blood sacrifice without any mercy. Do you know who I am? The subordinate of the Tongtian young master was also targeted. He roared angrily. If you want to die, disappear from my sight immediately. Disappear. As soon as he said that, he regretted it. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. His whole body was under Su Yan's foot. No, the green-clothed man cried out. However, Su Yan did not even glance at him from the beginning until the end. It was like an ant facing a dragon. The pride in his heart was completely trampled, leaving behind only fear. Only when Su Yin stomped on his body until it exploded did the green-clothed man recover from his despair and roar in a low voice. "Young master, take revenge for me. Take revenge. Quick, stop him for me." The Xian people's third city was rioting. The Xian people's army was coming, and a large number of perfected immortals were also charging at the city gates. However, what terrified everyone was that in some of the streets of the Xian people's third city, some of the streets were filled with killing intent, and heads were flying everywhere. Kill! The entire ancient city was in complete chaos. Fan Jian and Zhu Sheng controlled the perfected immortal puppets and started a massacre in some of the streets, luring away a large number of Xian people's powerhouses and reducing the pressure on Su Yin. The most eye-catching one was the Long Day Song. It spat out true samadhi fire and charged forward. Wherever the giant horse passed, the whole street trembled. It was like an invincible beast, charging savagely in the ancient city. "Young Fiend King." Some people exclaimed when they saw the young man in black with the replica of the immortal slaying sword on his back walk out. He merged with the perfected immortal puppet and charged into the Xian people's army, starting a bloody massacre. Xia Kunlun, Young Fiend King, and 2 other powerhouses with puppets. There's even a terrifying beast. I didn't expect 5 powerhouses to come, and all of them have the combat power of a perfected immortal. Are they crazy? The Xian people's third city has been sealed. The Xian people have set up an ambush here. Who can resist them? In the Xian people's third city, powerhouses of the sixth sky of perfected immortal realm appeared. Each of them was like an immortal dragon, powerful beyond compare. They looked down at the powerhouses of the celestial court and smiled cruelly. "You're finally here. However, no matter how many of you come, you'll all die here. The Xian people's third city has been sealed. Hee, the remnants of the celestial court, you're finished. None of you will survive. Kill them, and remember to leave them alive." In the Xian people's third city, the energy waves were extremely violent. It affected the whole region. Outside the ancient city, many heroes were gathered to watch the battle. They had mixed feelings. Was the celestial court finished? After all, the celestial court's lineup was too big. They had set up an ambush in the ancient city. It was like a tiger's den. Who could survive such a situation? Even the 4 city gates have been sealed. It's you. It's definitely you. In the auction hall, corpses were everywhere. The patriarch of the ancestral hall was terrified. He had killed everyone except for himself. Finally, when Su Yin walked towards him, the strong killing intent, the cold aura, and even the familiar aura of life scared the patriarch of the ancestral hall. He pointed at him and screamed, "It's you. You're still alive." He found it hard to believe. How could Su Yin still be alive? Bam! Su Yin stepped on his chest and looked down at him. He said coldly, "I'm still alive. You're surprised, aren't you?" The old ancestor of the ancestral hall was filled with cold air. He was frightened. Xia Kunlun was actually Su Yin. He had actually become a peak void immortal. How many years had it been? How did he escape from the darkness? Crack! Then, the patriarch of the ancestral hall's chest collapsed. The destructive aura was about to devour his life. He was in despair and screamed, "You're still alive." What a joke. But can you escape from the Xian people's third city? You'll die too. Who said I'm leaving? Su Yin said coldly. This is the place where I'll take the strongest seat. You lunatic. You're too delusional. The patriarch of the ancestral hall laughed. You want to take down the Xian people's third city? Who do you think you are? Don't worry, I won't kill you now. Wouldn't it be better if I let Zhu Sheng from the ancestral hall kill you? Su Yan's voice was like a demon. The patriarch of the ancestral hall's eyes darkened. He was really afraid of Su Yan. Back in Xianwang universe, all kinds of impossible things had become possible. Stop! Rolling thunder sounded. A large number of Xian people experts rushed over. Along the way, they gathered their energy and formed a powerful immortal Tao order to stop Su Yin from killing the patriarch of the ancestral hall. They knew very well that this was the old servant of the Xian people's first supreme. If Su Yin killed him, it would be a big deal. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll keep you alive and let you see how I take down this ancient city." Suyin stretched out his palm and cut off the patriarch's head, leaving his primordial spirit intact. Suyin didn't choose to kill him. He wanted to let him live and open his eyes to see how a dead person could sweep through the Xian people's third city. "You're about to die, and you still dare to commit murder? Hand over your life." In the Xian people's third city, the murderous intent towards Su Yin was surging. One had to know that there were 3/6 heavenly layer true immortals among them. Together with a group of Xian people experts, the energy fluctuations were so vast that it drowned the entire space-time. Boom! The turbulent waves were even more vast than the ocean, and they fell from the sky just like that. The people of the world were dumbfounded. Who could match such a powerful immortal Tao ocean? The immortal Tao order in the sky burned fiercely. Billions of runes appeared, sealing off the heaven and earth. Xia Kunlun is finished. The young Devil King is back, but it's useless. Even if they can hold on for a while, the Xian people's third city has already been sealed. No one can escape. I'm afraid this situation will bury the Celestial Court's elites. However, the experts watching the battle nervously in the ancient city didn't notice that there were experts rushing over from the 4 city gates to attack the Xian people's third city. Now, a large number of experts were rushing toward the young Devil King, so the number of guards at the 4 city gates was limited. Are Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King going to die? The surging immortal Tao ocean continued, drowning the 2 figures. Everything became blurry and indistinct. It was as if everything had been shattered. "Look, there's someone inside." Someone cried out in alarm, realizing that something was wrong. At first, the immortal Tao ocean was wantonly sweeping through the sky, gradually suppressing the 2 of them. However, the instant the third figure appeared, the 3 great figures formed a terrifying resonance, merging with the immortal Tao puppet at the same time. In a short period of time, it was as if they turned into 3 immortal Tao sons. Moreover, they operated the soar body technique at the same time. "Open for me." The 3 great figures reversed their fighting strength. The energy they released seemed to merge together. Their pores also released thick sword radiance, the sword cutting through the starry sky. Boom! The energy ocean that covered the sky exploded. Surging sword radiance overflowed into the heavens, shaking one's soul. The Celestial Court's 3 kings have all come. The entire city was in an uproar. The 3 kings moved through the sky, controlling the immortal Tao puppet at the same time. Heaven and earth trembled chaotically like paper, the terrifying aura that pervaded the air, making the enemies go weak and fall to the ground. Chapter 1527. Peak Void Immortals were rare to begin with. Any one of them had the qualifications to be ranked among the top 10,000 on the Emperor board. Now, the 3 kings of the Celestial Court appeared in the sky. Their majestic aura was intimidating. Their cold eyes shone with sword radiance. The 3 kings moved as one. Their movements were as if they were one. They brought with them an earth-shattering aura. Everyone was stunned and silent. They knew that the 3 Void Immortals had created quite a storm in the Celestial Bamboo's territory. However, according to their intelligence, the 3 Void Immortals were definitely not that strong. Now, their auras were almost the same. They could be called 3 Peak Void Immortals. What kind of combination was this? Moreover, each of them had an immortal Tao realm puppet. This scene shocked everyone. "We must get rid of them." Xian Tyran roared. He never thought that the 3 kings of the Celestial Court would appear. What was this? The Xian people had existed since ancient times. They also had young paragons. However, the Celestial Court, which had been destroyed for 1,000,000 years, actually produced peak Void Immortals. This was a huge blow to the Xian people. Although they knew that none of the Xian people's young paragons could compete with them, the 3 kings of the Celestial Court were the 3 kings of the Celestial Court. Once the 3 kings of the Celestial Court matured in the future, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Celestial Court might produce several super wanted criminals. This battle was the focus of everyone's attention. Many people were looking forward to it, hoping that the celestial court could break out of this situation. After 1,000,000 years, whether this group of people could rise again would depend on the heights of the younger generation. The Cien people's third city. Killing intent filled the air. Kill! Battle cries shook the sky. The battle was more terrifying than expected. The Cien people had set up a huge ambush here. Now, large batches of them were rushing over like a vast blood-colored flood. They swept over and wanted to slaughter the 3 kings of the celestial court. Su Yan's chi condensing 3 pure ones. Was it as simple as a clone? In fact, once the chi condensing 3 pure ones was activated, the 3 powerful auras resonated and seemed to combine together. Waves of divine power that made people's hearts tremble flowed out violently. Su Yan's 3 figures glowed at the same time. Blazing flames surged. He rushed into the enemy's army like 3 supreme, murderous weapons leaving their sheaths. His sword radiance was tens of thousands of times, blazing to the heavens. What a terrifying sword chi! This is a supreme inheritance of the sword Tao. The spectators in the distant world were all stunned. What kind of absolute art was this? The 3 great experts operated sword body techniques at the same time, attacking forward, sharp and incisive. Powerful divine weapons, sturdy true immortal bodies, they all exploded upon contact, difficult to match. Boom! Divine light exploded in the sky as the 3 streaks of sword energy cleaved apart the energy storm that was pressing towards them. The blazing and sharp sword beams were about to decapitate the group of heroes. Roar! The third city was in chaos, and even more people were drawn into the chaos. As a group of true immortals joined the battlefield, the energy storm became even more ferocious. Boom! The energy tide that filled the sky drowned out everything. This was too terrifying. The entire third city was trembling, and a terrifying aura seeped out, causing the spectators in the outside world to tremble. How terrifying! Everyone felt a headache coming on. There were too many people participating. Who could match them all? Even the 3 heaven-defying kings were clearly being suppressed. Their figures seemed to have dimmed. Was this the end? Who could survive the attack of the celestial court's massive army? Sword body technique. Su Yan let out a long howl. His entire flesh shell suddenly enlarged infinitely, as if the universe was howling. What kind of secret art is this? Fan Jian was stunned. He realized that the sword radiance gushing out of the 3 Su Yan's pores had become even more dazzling. It carried with it the primordial force that could reconstruct the universe, strengthening the divine might of the sword body technique. As a result, its offensive power was unparalleled. The 3 Su Yan's bodies were so dazzling that they were about to explode. Similarly, this brought great fear to the enemy. The sword radiance was like an ocean, tearing apart the energy tide that was descending from the sky. It caused the heavens and earth to explode, and the stars in the sky were about to fall. No! A large number of Cien people were terrified, but they were powerless to resist. The sword radiance tore apart the energy tide, attacking the enemy and harvesting them. Yes, it's the primordial force. Fan Jian was silent. Su Yan had mastered the 1 chi into 3 pure ones and the primordial force, 2 of the most powerful supernatural powers in history. Moreover, the primordial force could strengthen the power of all supernatural powers. Without a doubt, under the strengthening of the primordial force, the sword physique technique was blazing and overflowing, causing Su Yan's 3 great treasured bodies to be on the verge of exploding. One could imagine exactly what level Su Yan had pushed it to. A large number of Cien people's cultivators were cleaved apart. Even if they were wearing armor, they were torn in half in a single blow. Kill! Su Yan was bathed in blood. His hair danced wildly, and his eyes were like lightning. He unleashed the secret art of robbery. The sword body technique erupted, and the primordial force filled the sky. The 3 Su Yan's aura soared to the heavens. It even formed a blood-red sword sea and a huge whirlpool. It rapidly expanded in the third city of the Cien people. It was about to engulf the entire city. Woo-woo. A corner of the universe was boiling. Bright red blood bloomed and dyed the starry sky red. Is he going to sacrifice the entire city? Everyone trembled. The three kings had gone crazy, and their battle had shocked the world. No one had expected that he could unleash such powerful combat power. The entire sky was covered in blood light. Sword light fell, and the trial of death began. Boom! Suddenly, a thick and rolling immortal aura bloomed. Among the crowd, several sixth firmament true immortals were resurrected. It had to be said that the aura of these old guys was quite terrifying. They carried great divine might, and even the experts entrenched outside the city trembled. After all, their cultivation level was too high. Once they unleashed their power, their magic power was more than 10 times that of an ordinary, true immortal. What kind of domineering power was this? The 3/6 firmament true immortals attacked, forming seals and attacking. The sword light that filled the sky was torn apart. The three seals were unstoppable, and the three figures trembled slightly. Blood flowed from the corner of Su Yan's mouth. Sixth firmament true immortals were indeed ridiculously powerful. They were not comparable to ordinary true immortals. With Su Yan's magic power leaking, it was difficult for him to suppress the sixth firmament true immortals. Big brother, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you killing them? Fanjian knew very well that Su Yan had spent 50,000 kilograms of immortal path stones and purchased a huge amount of imperishable precious materials. His three incarnations had worked tirelessly to refine a corner of the heaven-destroying sword formation. Once this formation was set up, it would definitely kill immortals and gods. It could definitely turn the entire ancient city into hell. He believed that even sixth firmament true immortals would not be able to escape. He's done for. Kill him. What three kings? Since they chose to come to the third city, they're here to die. The 3/6 firmament true immortals sneered. They used their own energy to block Su Yan's Abhijna art. Together, they closed in on the three kings. Behind them, the Xian people's army was also following them. The battle was intense. It was a bloody battle between gods and demons. This was a chaotic battle. The entire ancient city's battlefield was blazing. The people could not see the battle clearly. In any case, the battle had gone crazy. The Xian people's army was coming, and they wanted to kill them all in one go. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, loud explosions rang out one after another. The sound was loud and deafening. The cultivators in the city were stunned. Soon they saw the East City Gate explode. A large number of experts guarding the gate were sent flying. Who is it? Are there reinforcements? What a strong martial path aura! Fan Jian exclaimed. Soon, he saw a man with messy hair. He was tall and had bronze-colored skin. He exuded a strong martial path aura. A huge figure appeared behind him. He was like a god of war looking down on the world. His expression was cold. He charged in from the gate with a blood-stained spear in his hand. It was terrifying. Kill! He roared. His aura was completely different. He was like a fiend god from hell. His roar shook the heavens. His martial path aura covered the sky. He was extremely fast. He charged forward, and the sky collapsed, and the earth cracked. A large number of cultivators were sent flying. Because it was too sudden, he also stirred up a fierce storm. The moment the figure behind him came back to life, his aura suppressed the world. He was overbearing. Oh no, they have reinforcements. Quick, seal the city gate. Don't let them escape. Quick. The Xian people's army roared. The city gate was breached. It was completely beyond their expectations. But just as a large number of experts rushed to the city gate, the South City Gate suddenly rumbled. The huge city gate caved in, and some areas collapsed. A pair of blood-stained fists exuded the aura of an evil dragon. Roar. It was like an ancient dragon roaring. The two blood-stained fists blasted the entire city gate. What kind of existence was this? Was he the reincarnation of an ancient evil dragon? He was not a void immortal at all, but his chi and blood were too vigorous. It was obvious that he had activated a shocking secret art. His entire body was burning like a furnace. His billowing chi and blood pierced through the sky. "I'm coming," dully roared, and the evil dragon coiled around his body. His strength was boundless, and everyone was terrified. He was as wild as a desolate war god. He roared, "Immortal grandsons, eat Grandpa's fist." He was extremely wild. He waved his iron fists. The evil dragon coiled around his body and roared into the sky. Suddenly, people saw 81 blood-red evil dragons leap from his back. Then they roared out from the top of his head and turned into a heavenly dragon, looking down on the world. The heavenly dragon art, the ultimate technique of the strength sect, someone outside the city exclaimed. This was a supreme body-refining art. It was extremely difficult to cultivate, and the requirements were extremely strict. Boom! But once it was cultivated, one would have immense strength. This was a shocking heavenly art that specialized in the god-fiend body-refining lineage. Just by relying on his divine strength, he could look down on his peers. The entire battlefield was in chaos. 2 of the city gates had been breached. Even the other 2 gates were attacked by lightning. The city gates were about to explode. The experts guarding the city gates were still struggling to hold on. Although the ancient city was protected by a formation, it could not withstand a prolonged attack. "Ha! Ha!" Su Yin looked up to the sky and laughed. His blazing eyes were fixed on Yi Yuan and Luo Doli. He was laughing. His eyes were brimming with tears, and his blood was boiling. The aura released by the 3 figures suddenly became brilliant. Once again, they formed an invincible world of swords and killed a large number of experts. Without a doubt, they were here. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying danger attacked. It was as if an invisible hand had extended into Su Yan's sea of consciousness and wanted to destroy his soul. Su Yan's expression was normal. His primordial spirit bloomed as if he was standing in the future. He unleashed a shocking attack and destroyed the soul attack that invaded his sea of consciousness. Interesting. A white-robed youth walked out. Although he looked to be only 17 or 18 years old, he was filled with the vicissitudes of life. He walked leisurely in the ancient city that was littered with corpses. He was unimpeded. His aura was calm. His hands were behind his back. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. His aura was extraordinary. It was even more shocking than the young Fan Jian. It was difficult to compare the 2 of them. "You guys go and guard the city gates. Leave the 3 of them to me." He spoke with a dignified tone that left no room for doubt. "Patriarch, you're not fit to use force. Although the situation is unexpected, I believe we can hold our ground." The Xian people had a 6th-level true immortal. They could still call for reinforcements. The white-robed youth did not reply. However, his deep eyes shone with a black radiance that darkened the heavens and the earth. His eyes were too strange. They seemed to want to devour all life in the universe. Heavens, that's the heavenly eye of darkness. Where did this youth come from? Unbelievable. The Xian people had a heavenly eye of darkness in the past. But that was too long ago. That's not right. Look at this young man. He looks a little familiar. Could he be? The onlookers were shocked. They felt a headache coming on. They were frightened by his aura. What? Patriarch Xian Jun has made his move. Xian Tyran was shocked, but he was also pleasantly surprised. This made things easier. With him here, no matter how many people from the Celestial Court came, they would not be able to escape their doom. Even Xian Tyran addressed him as Patriarch. One could only imagine how terrifying this white-robed youth's background was. "Big brother, this is bad." Fan Jian transmitted his voice. "This person seems to be the junior brother of the Xian people's sect master. You must be careful. Don't be careless." Su Yin was shocked. The sect master's junior brother? This identity and status were quite frightening among the Xian people. This meant that he was the personal disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. What kind of existence was this? It was unimaginable. Under his orders, a large group of experts rushed to the 4 city gates. The Xian people's goal today was to suppress the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun. They did not care about anything else. Since Patriarch Xian Jun had made his move, there was no suspense. Xian Jun came. He closed in on Su Yin step by step. At the same time, he said calmly, "My race has been glorious for 1,000,000 years. We have never suffered such a great loss." "Old man," Su Yin shouted, "what are you talking about? Do you want a one-on-one or a group fight?" Xian Jun's eyes were cold. He said coldly, "I must get the 9 continents' heaven cauldrons. The 3 of you can come at me together." "Old man, you really won't stop until you shock me to death." Su Yin pulled out the immortal slaying sword replica and said coldly, "I wanted the 3 of us to beat you up. Since you are so arrogant, I will kill you alone. I will send you on your way." Xian Jun's words were simple, but they contained great courage. His pitch-black pupils were like a condensed, dark universe rushing out. Boom! The boundless sky darkened. His entire being seemed especially terrifying, as if he was a god that ruled over the darkness. Is the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor so great? Today, I will kill you to boost my courage. Su Yin did not hesitate and rushed forward. This was the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. He must have killed himself to enter the battlefield. If he could kill him, it would also indicate the demise of a big shot of the Xian people. Dezhong, great emperors, urgently need monthly votes to summon all brothers to the stage. Chapter 1528. Is this how Big Brother gets his guts? Fan Jian was stunned. He was facing the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. Su Yin had only sent one of his clones to fight against Xian Jun. It was already a great humiliation to him. However, Xian Jun might not be able to see through the profundity of the 3 pure ones. In short, this battle had erupted. The center of the Xian people's 3rd city was in a state of turmoil. In the world of darkness, the sword radiance exploded and tore apart the darkness, as if it had severed the space. Boom! Su Yin's body was blazing. His pores were overflowing with sword radiance. He had activated his sword physique technique to its peak. His entire flesh shell had turned into a terrifying sword embryo. It was overflowing with thick sword radiance as it attacked Xian Jun. Xian Jun's robe was whiter than snow. He was very elegant and graceful as he strolled around the ancient city. He did not make any move when he saw Su Yin charging towards him. His physical body did not emit any aura. Only his pair of pitch-black eyes were bright and monstrous. They were filled with an ancient divine punishment energy, as though he was the ruler of the heavens. It's really the heavenly eye of darkness. It's known as one of the strongest heavenly eyes in the world. Legend has it that once the heavenly eye of darkness is activated, it can manifest the power of divine punishment. It's an invincible, innate ability. Where did this white-robed young man come from? Is he really that person? But why did he come to the 10,000 tribe battlefield? Did he really sever his own cultivation? This incident caused a huge commotion in the outside world. No one expected the Xian people to have such a powerful cultivator. Whose disciple was he? However, some of the old antiques from the immortal sects recognized his background. They sighed heavily. Such courage, such courage. Ancestral patriarch, who is he? Some of the perfected immortals from the immortal sects were stunned. What kind of person could make their ancestral patriarch so agitated? The old antiques from their sects had lived for millions of years. He's the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. One of the old antiques recalled the ancient times and could not help but exclaim, "He's extremely talented and powerful." Someone once called him the top 3 on the monarch ranking. He's said to be the future sect master of the Xian people, just like the current disciple of Old Man Tontian. Top 3 on the monarch ranking? The sect leader? The Xian people are leading the army? Many people stammered. All kinds of titles were too glorious and brilliant. They really didn't know what to say. In short, just the fact that he was the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor was frightening enough. But why would such a powerhouse go to the 10,000 tribe battlefield to fight? What a pity, it's too good to be true. Someone let out a sigh and said in a low voice, he was too confident, or rather conceited. He did not put anyone in his eyes, and even ignored the fact that the monarch ranking contest was taking place. He focused on cultivating his heavenly eyes, thinking that he was undefeatable with his heavenly eyes. As such, he was eliminated. The last sentence was a little cruel. Although it was said that great waves washed away the sand, some people clearly had great potential, but they were eliminated by the Golden Age. Which of the top 10 on the Monarch ranking wasn't the peerless Ingjia? Which of them wasn't an invincible expert in their respective domains? Xianjun's talent was extraordinary, and he boasted that he could prove his Tao in the future. But in the end, he didn't even cultivate to the level of Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. He stopped at the level of Zenith Heaven and became the most useless disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. However, even if he was the most useless disciple, he was still undefeatable among those below the 9 heaven supremes with his heavenly eyes of darkness. However, no one expected Xianjun to be so bold as to sever his cultivation and come to the Myria tribe battlefield to cultivate again. After all, with such talent and status, how could he be willing to stop at the level of Zenith Heaven? He wanted to take a gamble, and perhaps he might be able to carve out a path to the heavens. Countless people were shocked and said in a trembling voice, "Doesn't that mean Xianjun has the ability to compete with the 9 heaven supremes?" If that's the case, the Monarch ranking contest in the past will be even more brutal. Someone shook his head and said, severing his cultivation means he has lost too much. It must be a great loss to his heavenly eyes of darkness. In the past, he had the strength of the top 3 on the Monarch ranking, but now he can't do it. His body's functions alone are a major flaw. Although he can cultivate again after severing his cultivation, it's easy for him to run out of lifespan. Besides, he's not in his golden age now. He's like an old man, so he shouldn't be underestimated. The crowd was in an uproar. No one expected there to be such a theory. Although experts could sever their cultivation and cultivate again, they would also lose a lot. They could easily die prematurely. However, the old antiques of the various clans were still impressed. If Xianjun could survive this, his future would be limitless. They had to admit that Xianjun was very bold. If it were someone else, it would be extremely difficult for them to do so. This also indirectly showed the glory and prosperity of the Xian people. If it were the other clans who would dare to do so, I really hope the young Devil King can kill him. Otherwise, with Xianjun's potential, if he really does rush out, he'll be even more shocking than the current Xian people's sect master. Some of the experts of the opposing orthodoxies of the Xian people whispered. They were really worried that Xianjun would complete his cultivation and attain a terrifying level. If that happened, the Xian people's foundation would be stronger, which wasn't a good thing for them. However, they only thought about it. Who was Xianjun? Even if he wasn't in his golden age, with his current strength, even the kings of the celestial court couldn't kill him. In the 3rd city of the Xian people, the stench of blood filled the air. The great battle had completely exceeded the world's understanding. Yuan and Luo Li had just charged into the ancient city when Fan Jian threw over the 2 immortal Dao puppets. After putting them on, their auras skyrocketed, and their roars shook the starry sky. Awesome, awesome. The 2 experts roared, shaking heaven and earth. They were like immortals and demons in the sky. Bastard, suppress him for me. The experts of the Xian people were furious. They glared at Fan Jian, flustered and exasperated. He had definitely taken out the immortal Dao puppets that the Xian people had obtained. Now, they were in the celestial court's hands and used against them. This was a great humiliation, but with Fan Jian's strength, it was really too difficult to stop him. He went to the other ancient cities one after another and sent out 5 sets of immortal Dao puppets. As a result, the number of experts of the celestial court gathered in the 3rd city of the Xian people was enough to reach the 10 greats. Kill. The entire ancient city was shaking. The other 2 city gates were blasted apart. They roared, their battle blood boiling. This is crazy. Yin Kei also came. She didn't know where Luo Li and the others had come from. In any case, she knew that this group of people was going crazy. It was all for one person, for their dead brother, for Su Yin, who had died in the darkness. Yuan and the others were strong enough. Yin Kei couldn't help but think about how amazing Su Yin had been in the past. He had actually become their leading expert. Liang Yan had been captured alive, and this hurt them. Su Yin had died, and he hadn't left behind a single descendant. This was what really hurt them. Bamboo Moon, Liang Yan, Isi Yun, Zixioning. These women had been on good terms with Su Yin. One of them had to have become his Tao companion, right? But in the end, after more than 100 years of bloodshed and bloodshed, without any respite, human Emperor Su Yin had died in the darkness, never to return. Kill, brothers, kill. Kill them, kill them. Their hearts were filled with pain and hatred. They roared continuously to vent the anger in their hearts. They swore to wash the Xian people's third city with blood and appease Su Yan's soul in heaven. Dark divine punishment. In the center of the ancient city, the battlefield was even more dangerous. Thick lightning bolts surged out of Xian Jun's pupils one after another. Each lightning bolt was filled with a destructive aura that could sever life. Anyone who touched it would die. Tens of millions of layers of dark lightning exploded, piercing through the entire space. It could be said to be apocalyptic. Su Yin let out a long howl. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. His moves were grand as he charged toward the lightning bolts in the sky. What a young devil king. The experts of various races were shocked. In the sea of dark lightning, Su Yan's majestic figure was still blazing, illuminating the darkness. He even grabbed the lightning with both hands and crushed it. It had to be said that Su Yan's aura was too wild. Nothing could stop him. He was getting closer and closer to Xian Jun. Boom! In the end, Su Yan's flesh shell surged with a resplendent sword light, tearing apart the dark lightning in the sky. The sword body technique was still the sword body technique. Its offensive power was unparalleled. It tore apart the dark world and charged toward Xian Jun. There was nothing to say. Su Yin wanted to fight him in close combat. He wanted to kill him, the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. Dark divine punishment. Xian Jun's heavenly eyes opened wide. Gray light flowed out of his black eyeballs. It was as if heaven and earth were splitting apart. The aura emitted from his pupils was terrifying beyond compare. Boom! In an instant, the starry sky exploded. Under everyone's shocked gazes, they saw all kinds of artifacts appear in the dark world. There were halberds, spears, black cauldrons, bells. It was as if they had evolved into millions of black killing weapons. They whistled over, crushing the void along the way. The storm of aura caused Su Yan's chi and blood to tremble. They were about to suppress him in a single exchange. There were thousands of Tao techniques in the sky. There was almost no place for Su Yan to stand. It had to be said that this heavenly I was extremely powerful. Together with Xian Jun's Tao technique, it suppressed Su Yan. Can you King only use your eyes to fight me? Su Yan was infuriated and cursed loudly. This old thing's Tao technique was indeed profound. Xian Jun's expression was gloomy. These words hurt him, causing his heavenly eye to suddenly change. A terrifying phenomenon of the sun being destroyed and the moon sinking appeared in his pupils. Kill! He was cold, like a god fiend that ruled over all living beings. His heavenly eye enveloped the world, and the cries of ghosts and gods could be heard. Accompanied by millions of artifacts descending from the sky, wrapped in the great Tao of darkness, it could suppress everything. Su Yan's expression was cold. He stood in the dark world, unmoving since ancient times. But within his body, a primordial atmosphere filled the air. The aura of the creation of the world manifested, transforming into a magnificent universe. As he spat it out, the world trembled. The sun and moon lost their light, and the boundless world of darkness seemed to have completely collapsed. Beginning Sutra, Xian Jun's expression changed slightly. He had seen through what kind of sutra this was. Under the suppression of the supreme, great Tao of the beginning sutra, the dark heavenly punishment was about to collapse. The millions of artifacts began to blur. Xian Jun was serious. His entire eyeball was burning. The dark heavenly punishment's aura became denser, reshaping the suppressed heavenly punishment world. You can't. Xian Jun shouted coldly and shook his head. With your beginning sutra, you are not qualified to suppress my heavenly eye. It would be better if the son of the celestial arch came. As for you, you are not qualified at all. Who do you think you are? You want to stand shoulder to shoulder with the son of the celestial arch? After I kill you, I'll go kill the ancestors of the Xian people and let you reunite in the underworld. Su Yin roared, his aura violet. The Tao of calamity bloomed, and his body burned like a destructive universe. He forcibly pushed open the darkness that filled the sky and unleashed his sword body technique to shatter the dark artifacts in the sky. You're courting death. Xian Jun was furious. The energy in his body surged, and the darkness surged. He raised his hand and attacked Su Yin. Bastard, you finally made your move. Su Yin shouted coldly and raised his fist to attack. This punch was too terrifying. Killing intent overflowed into the sky. It was resplendent and blazing. It broke through the darkness and smashed into his palm. Bam! Xian Jun's arm glowed. He circulated his immortal body technique and did his best to resist. His entire arm was covered in great Tao order, and his defense was extraordinary. However, how frightening was Su Yan's fist? It struck his arm until it cracked and was about to explode. Emperor's Tao UQ74338239 Reader Group. Follow the official WeChat account. Search for Ye Qingtian to add. Chapter 1529. Roar. Xian Jun roared, his black hair dancing in the wind. He couldn't calm down. Who was he? He disdained to compete with the younger generation, or even the top 10,000 on the Emperor rankings. His goal was to fight for the top 100, or even the top 10, or even top 3. If Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King hadn't dealt such a heavy blow to the Xian people, Xian Jun wouldn't have interfered. He wouldn't have lowered himself to attack Su Yin. But now, it seemed like he was really angry. Could it be that he couldn't even suppress a king of the celestial court? Even Su Yan's words from before had woken him up. He had still placed his focus on the heaven's eye. What was the difference between this and walking down the same old path again? It was a good thing to have extraordinary talent, but it was too excessive. He was also extremely conceited. He was truly smarter than the heavens. What are you yelling for? I'll kill you. Su Yin pounced, his moves simple and direct. He raised his hand, wanting to suppress Xian Jun in one move. Xian Jun was even more furious. A mere king of the celestial court wanted to suppress him? Boom! Xian Jun's aura surged wildly. His snow-white robes instantly turned as black as ink, as though he was a primal chaos demon god that was born from darkness. His pores spewed out a dense dark light that surged violently and blocked Su Yan's palm that was pressing down. Suppress. Su Yin roared again. His palm glowed. Flames surged between his fingers, containing a terrifying aura. He even released a thick sword light. Under the state of the sword arts, his offensive power increased greatly, suppressing Xian Jun fiercely. Kacha! The boundless dark light exploded. Under everyone's fearful gazes, the young Devil King's palm was about to press down on Xian Jun's head. At this moment, Xian Jun roared. His aura changed. Ancient scriptures flowed out of his body, as though a vague supreme being was chanting the darkness scripture. Every syllable was deafening, emitting a great Tao radiance that made one's heart tremble. Without a doubt, this scripture was extremely powerful. It opened up a dark domain, stirring up a dark storm that shattered the sea of swords descending from the sky. At the same time, his palm formed a fist seal. His fist was as black as a star, colliding with Su Yan's palm. Boom! There was a loud explosion, but the result was beyond everyone's expectations. The Xian people originally thought that Xian Jun could suppress Su Yin and injure him. The result was completely different from what he had imagined. Su Yin was unscathed. His awe-inspiring majesty surged with dense qi and blood. His eyes were even sharper than lightning as he charged forward and clashed with Xian Jun. An intense battle ensued. Great killing techniques were constantly being unleashed. Neither side retreated half a step. They exploded with their strongest power to attack each other. The entire sky was filled with energy storms, surging violently. Su Yan's aura became increasingly powerful in the scene of the sky collapsing and the earth shattering. His moves were wide open as he pressed forward. The surging darkness was blasted apart. All of the murderous order couldn't stop him. Just how valiant was Su Yan? While in the state of the supreme, precious body, he even had the great divine ability of the sword body. His offensive power was unmatched. So terrifying, this is just too tyrannical. The young Devil King is even more terrifying than before, forcibly suppressing Xianjun, who didn't use the heavenly eye of darkness. He is the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. Even without the heavenly eye of darkness, the number of experts in his generation who can suppress him is limited. Everyone was in an uproar, looking at this young Devil King who was like a golden war god, blasting apart the darkness. Xianjun seemed a bit weak and small at this moment. Ho! Xianjun roared. His figure was like a dark lightning bolt, as if branded in the starry sky of the universe. Moreover, his pitch-black eyes opened wide again. As they opened and closed, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Within the range of his heavenly eye, Su Yan's body vaguely changed shape, blood flowing out from his pores. Bastard, do you think you're the only one with heavenly eye? Su Yan was enraged. His pair of cold eyes, which were calm and emotionless, opened in an instant. It was as if the heavenly eye of the ruler of the heavens was born. Heaven and earth revolved with it, releasing the cry of the great Tao. Su Yan's eyes blazed 10,000 times brighter, resonating with this ancient world, instantly blocking the source of darkness. Boom! The moment the two heavenly eyes met, a terrifying aura filled the air, forcibly tearing apart the sky. No matter how terrifying the dark storm was, it was completely wiped out by the power of heaven and earth triggered by Su Yan's eye of heaven escape. At the same time, he attacked horizontally, his palm forming a fist seal, attacking Xianjun. Su Yan roared, his fist seal unparalleled. Xianjun's hair fluttered, and his aura soared. The dark palm formed a fist seal and pressed down on Su Yan. In the process, his entire body ignited, covered in dark runes, and flowed with the terrifying light of the great Tao. Boom! The peak collision was like two comets colliding. Thunder exploded in the ancient city, shaking a large number of soldiers, causing their bodies to tremble. They were terrified. The outcome made the Xian people panic. Xianjun's entire fist cracked open, and thick blood spilled out. His entire body trembled violently, coughing up blood continuously. The entire audience was in an uproar. The scene was a bit tragic. Xianjun was seriously injured. Could it be that even one of the three kings of the celestial court was no match for him? The situation greatly exceeded everyone's expectations. The Xian people's experts were anxious. A large number of experts rushed over to help Xianjun stop the young demon king. Get lost! Xianjun roared angrily. His entire aura seemed to be somewhat different. Soon, his ancient body flowed with the terrifying light of time, accompanied by a dense dark aura that rose from the ground. Ah! Xianjun roared, like a fiend god who had broken his shackles coming back to life. The chanting of sutras in his body rumbled, and a huge figure appeared behind him, like a supreme demon lord who looked down on the past, present, and future. From this moment on, the world was pitch black, and one couldn't even see their own fingers. Lunar Mother Sutra. Yan Kei's shocked voice exploded, causing a huge commotion. Fan Jian's eyes turned red, and he lost control. Legend has it that the ancestors of the Xian people once explored a shocking heavenly art in a dangerous land, the Lunar Mother Sutra, known as the strongest sutra in the world. There were many rumors about this in the cultivation world. It was said that the Lunar Mother Sutra obtained by the ancestors of the Xian people was incomplete. Fan Jian thought of many things in an instant. Could it be ancient history that had passed away? What about the peerless heavenly art that was born? He felt that the possibility was very high. Although this sutra was incomplete, with the great power of the ancestors of the Xian people, it was possible that they had repaired it. Now that Xianjun was circulating the Lunar Mother Sutra, his aura was naturally terrifying and boundless, like an immortal demon born from the darkness. His roar was loud, and the sound waves overflowed, suppressing heaven and earth. Boom! Rolling waves of darkness gushed out, and with the terrifying power of the sutra, rushed towards Su Yan. This sutra is so powerful. Su Yan was shocked. It was as if the powerful sutra had been suppressed, and his battle prowess had been greatly reduced. He was in great danger, and even the life aura flowing in his body seemed to be swallowed by the darkness. But this was also exciting. Su Yan's body burned fiercely, as if the universe was blooming. It was filled with a bit of primitive atmosphere, and it erupted with world-shocking heavenly might. The initial sutra was released, great Tao symbols filling the sky, resisting the Lunar Mother Sutra suppression. But at the same time, Su Yan discovered that the Lunar Mother Sutra wasn't inferior to the initial sutra. These two sutras were world-shocking, peerless heavenly arts. Kill! Xianjun shouted coldly, erupting with a terrifying attack. The small world in front of him was blasted apart, accompanied by all types of dark symbols, forcibly suppressing everything. He wanted to kill Su Yan. Ho! Su Yan faced the sky and roared, not retreating at all. His aura erupted without limit, and the initial sutra was pushed to its limit. It was as if he was reconstructing the universe, about to sink the darkness, reconstruct the order of the universe. Regardless, the two peerless heavenly arts collided, forming a great vortex, its influence world-shocking. Everything became indistinct. Nothing could be seen. The energy fluctuations released by the two great sutras interweaved together. There was also blazing radiance that was released. Su Yan's body was golden, while Xianjun's body was pitch black. It was as if two great heavenly suns had collided, fighting until the heavens collapsed and the earth split apart, ghosts weeping and deities howling. The sutra world filled the sky, loud noises continuously sounding. They collided more than 10 times, but it was difficult to determine victory or defeat. Kill! Xianjun went crazy, great divine abilities erupting. The heavenly eye of darkness erupted, using its most powerful state. The more he fought, the more alarmed he became. Su Yan's strength made his heart tremble. If he couldn't get rid of him, then it would be a heavy blow to the Xian people in the future. Divine ability light filled the sky, released in the world of darkness, the scene extremely shocking. After all, under the operation of the great Een Mother Sutra, the power of all kinds of divine abilities was extraordinary, covering heaven and earth as they suppressed Su Yan. Calamity Tao, calamity heaven, calamity earth, calamity great Tao. An ancient and dignified voice exploded, releasing a calamity aura in this universe that bloomed with all things. It was as if the outline of a grand, blood-colored universe was outlined, bearing all methods, similarly possessing the world-shocking aura of calamity, Tao myriad methods. Is he really Su Yan? Yuan and the others were a bit silent. They felt that this person was a bit similar to Su Yan, but the various divine abilities were completely different. Only the initial sutra was familiar to them. Whether it was the Soar Body Technique or the Calamity Tao, they were all too unfamiliar. What kind of divine ability is that? The onlookers were shocked. In the vortex, bloody light covered the sun. With the initial sutra as the foundation, the power of Calamity Tao evolved and flooded over, suppressing the divine ability power released by the Xianjun. Boom! In the end, Su Yan's sword body technique shattered the darkness, enveloping the world with the power of Calamity Tao. The initial universe fist erupted, releasing a thunderous strike that made Xianjun tremble. His entire avatar collapsed completely, and he was sent flying in pain. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. How is this possible? The onlookers were shocked, but not because of Su Yan's battle prowess. It was because Xianjun had aged a lot, and his hair was snow white. Although he still looked young, his vitality was declining, and it was difficult to compare him to his peak. Patriarch. The Xian people in the third city were in chaos. Their eyes were red as they roared angrily. Oh no, the Patriarch has cut off his own cultivation. He can't use martial arts for a long time, or he'll deteriorate further. They frantically rushed to help, but Yuan and the others were not made of paper. They blocked a large number of Xian people in the third city, opening up a space for Su Yin to fight for supremacy, preventing anyone from interfering in this battle. I didn't expect that in the end, only you died. Xian Jun seemed to be crying and laughing at the same time. In fact, Su Yan's condition was not good either. After all, he was only an avatar. He had used all his strength in such a battle, and his combat strength was greatly reduced. His aura was also declining. Are you sure you want to kill me? Su Yan asked. Hearing this, Xian Jun stood up and said coldly, Since I attacked, you won't live, including everyone in the celestial court. His words were rather cold and confident as he said, Unfortunately, I failed on this path. Even if I stand at the golden immortal realm, I'm afraid the position of Exalt in the future won't have much to do with me. He was a little melancholy, but he did not care too much. You're really confident, Su Yan sneered. You want to kill all of us? Your tone is really ridiculous. You'll know when you kill all of us. Xian Jun walked toward Su Yan step by step. Although he appeared to be in a weakened state, the aura leaping out of his eyes allowed Su Yan to sense danger. Then you won't live. The third city of the Xian people will be your burial ground, the young devil king said coldly. At the same time, Xia Kunlun, indestructible body. The three figures stood together at the same time, and their auras merged. The three figures were about to merge into one and become Su Yan in his strongest state. To Su Yan, Xian Jun's background was too great. He had to get rid of him. Otherwise, if he was allowed to secretly strengthen himself, there would be endless trouble in the future. Leisurely Reading Book City was a free source-changing software for reading books. Android phones needed to be downloaded and installed by Ogly. Apple phones needed to be logged into a non-Chinese account to download and install. The Way of the Emperor, The Way of the Emperor. Chapter 1530. The three kings of the celestial court, the young devil king, Xia Kunlun, and the indestructible body. Now that they were standing together, this combination caused a huge uproar compared to Meng Hao's. If the three kings join forces, the consequences will be unimaginable. Is the supreme of the Xian people not going to make a move? Maybe they're too confident. They think that the third city can easily take down the celestial court. The Xian people are really arrogant now. They don't care about the celestial court at all. The outside world was not calm either. The powerhouses of the major immortal sects were all shocked. The young devil king had already forced Xian Jun to this extent. Could Xian Jun fight against the three powerhouses at the same time? This is bad. Patriarch Xian Jun is putting his life on the line. Hurry and ask the sect master to stop old ancestor Xian Jun. Even if this plan fails, it doesn't matter. Old ancestor Xian Jun cannot die. His path of cultivation has just begun. If he dies in battle, our clan will suffer too great a loss. The upper echelons of the Xian people were all shaken. Xian Jun was the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. Although he hadn't achieved much over the years, the Xian people were all looking forward to Xian Jun becoming the supreme after his cultivation. If the three kings of the celestial court were really killed, it would be an unerasable shame for the Xian people. It's okay. However, a tremendous might descended. Immortal Clan Supreme being released these words. Xian Jun, with the ancestors' extreme art protecting him, no one can kill him. Even if we suffer great damage to our vitality, my clan will still pay a great price to protect him. You all should make preparations ahead of time. The sect leader's words cheered them up instantly. They couldn't help but be excited and laugh. If they could kill the three kings of the celestial court in this battle, it would be the same as killing all the powerhouses of the celestial court in one fell swoop. From then on, the celestial court would have no hope of rising again. The third city of the Xian people was filled with murderous intent. Su Yan's words angered all the powerhouses of the Xian people. If the three of them joined forces, Xianjun would be no match for them. Don't be too shameless. An expert let out an angry roar. He wanted to rush over and help Xianjun, but it was useless. With Fan Jian and the others blocking him, no one could interfere in this battle. It's fine. Although Xianjun's appearance was waning, his temperament was extraordinary. His white robes were purer than snow, as he said indifferently. Just attack. I will make you lose and accept your defeat wholeheartedly. Su Yin, Xia Kunlun, indestructible body. The three figures lit up one after another, and their auras fused with each other, causing resonance and Dao cries. Their chi and blood surged, and they were like tall, immortal demons that stood in the sky, looking down at the heavens. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the auras of the three began to revolve, exuding a majestic aura that had existed since ancient times. Their essence, energy, and spirit had already fused together, forming a terrifying aura that overflowed the heavens. This was a type of unrivaled momentum that was difficult to change. It possessed a strong enough pressure that could easily suppress one's soul. What a familiar aura! Is it him? Is he still alive? Did my brother come out of the darkness alive? From this moment on, the entire ancient city was in chaos. One after another, the top mighty lords roared. Even the iron-blooded men were on the verge of tears, their blood boiling. Big brother is still alive, ha. Dali roared with tears in his eyes. He had caught a familiar aura from the three kings. An aura that had disappeared before had once again shockingly returned. He was still alive. My brother is still alive. Tenser's emotions fluctuated violently. His eyes were red as he roared. He's still alive. Wait, this is his aura. That's right, it's his aura. He's back. The familiar aura was like the return of a deceased emperor, crazily gushing out in the entire Xian people's third city. It was like calling the world, like calling the brothers here. He was still alive, crawling out of the darkness, coming to the immortal heavenly domain, coming to the 10,000 tribes battlefield. Roar, the indestructible body, must be Su Yin. The Xian people's third city reverberated in all directions. Their blood was boiling, and they laughed loudly. Su Yin was still alive. At this moment, their battle strength was also surging and erupting endlessly. The entire third city of the Xian people trembled, and the experts of the Xian people were killed one after another. The brothers joined forces and slaughtered their way forward, wanting to meet up with Su Yin. What happened? The battle in the ancient city became more intense, which shocked the cultivators who were watching the battle. What provoked the celestial court to go berserk? Each of the young kings was tall and covered in blood. Their auras were endlessly violent, and they fought fiercely. Their flesh and blood were burning, and they killed to their heart's content, roaring endlessly. One had to know that in the ancient city, other than Su Yin, the experts who had the battle strength of the 10 perfected immortals belonged to the celestial court. In the center of the city, 3 rays of essence blood burned fiercely, forming the outline of an emperor. Xianjun's lips trembled, and he could no longer calm down. He wasn't an ordinary person, and his vision was shocking. Yuan and the others couldn't compare to him. He could clearly feel that the life auras of the 3 of them were exactly the same. Even their essence, chi, and spirit merged perfectly, forming a new person. What was this? His chest rose and fell violently, and the anger in his heart spread. He was also trying his best to control himself. 1 chi into 3 pure ones. He was angry, and his eyes were red. He clenched his fists so tightly that they cracked. This was a great humiliation. The one who fought with him before was only one of Su Yan's incarnations. Although the chi into 3 pure ones was magical, it could transform into the 3 strongest bodies. However, no matter how majestic the chi into 3 pure ones was, it couldn't perfectly unleash Su Yan's strongest battle strength. Under the chi into 3 pure one state, one incarnation alone couldn't reach Su Yan's peak battle strength. Soon, Xianjun calmed down a little. So what if it was the chi into 3 pure ones? He couldn't escape death. No matter who you are, you can't escape your fate. Xianjun roared and charged at Su Yan. His body burned, and black light shone brightly. Accompanied by the grand chanting of sutras, he pushed the Tying Mother Sutra to its peak state. As a result, his entire body was majestic and shocking, like a supreme god-fiend born from darkness. For some reason, when the Tying Mother Sutra was fully activated, Su Yan's body heated up, and he had a strange feeling. What was this? Could it be that he was also suitable to cultivate the Tying Mother Sutra? But did Xianjun have this sutra? Patriarch! The rioting Xian people's roars echoed in the third city. Everyone saw that Xianjun's body was burning and rapidly drying up, as if he was in a state of withering and dying. Everyone was shocked. They discovered that Xianjun's pupils had suddenly surged greatly. It was as if two great dark universes had begun to revolve, sputtering out wisps of black fog that contained a speechless heaven-punishing aura. Su Yan was shocked, and his hair stood on end. He was shocked because the moment this secret technique was activated, there was silence. The four-sword embryos in his forehead started to hum. It was as if they had met their nemesis, as if they had met a secret technique of the same level. Don't be surprised. Xianjun saw Su Yan's reaction and smiled calmly. To be able to die under the eye of execution, you didn't live in vain. Eye of execution? What kind of secret technique was this? Was it a kind of mystique on the same level as the heaven-punishing sword Dao? Was this a supreme technique of the heaven-punishing series? In short, Su Yan was shocked. He thought of many things. Regardless of whether it was the heaven-punishing sword Dao or the Eye of Execution, did they all originate from a mysterious civilization billions of years ago? Or was it the same for the Tying Mother Sutra? In that case, just how powerful was that lost piece of history? If even they couldn't withstand the invasion of darkness, then the undying heavenly domain wouldn't be able to withstand it. If that day really came, would everyone die? In an instant, Su Yan felt a sense of fear. His three avatars trembled at the same time, as if they had sunk into death and fear. They couldn't extricate themselves from this state of mind. Shing! All of a sudden, a sword chime appeared and woke Su Yan up, allowing him to recover from his fear. At this moment, Su Yan was shocked. The whole world turned dark, and the aura of heaven punishing filled the air, threatening to tear his primordial spirit apart. Without a doubt, he was affected by the Eye of Execution, just like how Fan Jian was affected by his single slash of the immortal slaying sword. This series of mystiques was shocking. What kind of mystique was that? Everyone in the world was horrified, all of them scared stiff. The entire third city of the Xian people was affected by the mystique, and it was as dark as ink. In the direction of the source, a pair of huge eyes opened, releasing a terrifying light of destruction and an unparalleled aura of heaven punishing. It wanted to devour everything. Oh no! Yi Yuan and the others were terrified. Su Yan was devoured, and his figure was buried in the darkness, as if he was crushed by the gaze. What kind of mystique was this? The powerful Su Yan didn't seem to have time to react. Even the ancient and huge black eyes released the light of time, as if they were looking down on the whole world and could devour all life in the universe and judge billions of lives. Ha ha! The only outcome of angering the Grand Master is death. Young Devil King? Xia Kunlun? The three kings of the Celestial Court are just a joke. They can't withstand the Grand Master's strongest attack. It's just the beginning, and it's already over. Excited laughter echoed in the third city of the Xian people. Some people felt that it was time to end it, and the fate of the Celestial Court should also be ended. Look, suddenly, the scene in the dark area changed drastically. The three blurry figures suddenly merged and formed a brand new figure. He was here, and his invincible will spread. The whole time and space trembled with him. I'm back, Su Yan was announcing his return. He was like a human emperor, bright and blazing. In a short period of time, the suppressed darkness collapsed and was about to collapse. Then you have to die too. A cold voice sounded. The heaven-punishing eye formed by Xianjun once again devoured the world, wanting to destroy Su Yan's vitality. One sword, Su Yan, in his strongest state, was majestic and intimidating. He once again suppressed the darkness and pulled out a sword embryo and roared, "Immortal, slaying path." The moment he pulled out the sword, the heavens withered, the sun was destroyed, and the moon sank. Nothing could stop it. The whole darkness was split open. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 1531. At this moment, Su Yan was extremely glorious and brilliant. He was roaring like an invincible being. Xia Kunlun, the young devil king, and the indestructible body, the 3 peerless void immortals of the celestial court, now merged into one, outlining a blazing figure. The majesty that had existed since ancient times shook the Xian people's 3rd city. How glorious and brilliant this was! The 3 kings merged into one, turning into a war immortal emperor who looked down on the world. Boom! The darkness in the sky was split open by the sword. The sword light illuminated the entire region, so bright that it almost made people's eyes bleed. How is this possible? In the 3rd city of the Xian people, the Xian people's cultivators let out heart-wrenching roars. Blood came out of the corners of their eyes, and they were mad with hatred. Even the true immortals of the 6th heaven of their race looked as if they had been struck by lightning. Their hair was disheveled, and they roared at the sky. Tears of blood seemed to flow out of their eyes. They were so angry that they were about to spit out blood. They're the same person, the same person. But who is he? Who is he? These people were so angry that their hearts and lungs were trembling. Their eyes were turning black, and there was even a feeling of despair in their hearts. What was this? They had been played in circles. This is really against the heavens. Countless people roared and growled. Even the onlookers were dumbfounded and were about to be petrified. What was this? Xia Kunlun, the young devil king, and the indestructible body, the 3 kings of the celestial court, were the same person. This was a huge joke. Everyone in the world went crazy. Both Xia Kunlun and the young devil king were fantastical and mythical, but now they saw the bloody truth. These 2 were the same person. I should have thought of it. I should have thought of it. Yuan and the others cried and laughed at the same time. They looked at the glorious Su Yan. At this moment, he was very glorious, appearing in such a shocking way. He split open the darkness with a sword and was invincible in the world. That's right. Su Yan had mastered the 1 Qi into 3 pure ones. Under the Qi into 3 pure one state, he could transform into 3 different identities. Although the 3 kings of the heavenly court were terrifying, they definitely wouldn't appear in such a manner. Crack! Boundless sword light tore open the darkness. This secret art, Fan Jian's eyes widened. He believed that Su Yan, who had unleashed his trump card in such a state, would definitely be incomparably terrifying. This sword unleashed a peerless sharpness that split the sky apart. The immortal Tao that filled the sky completely collapsed. Even the immortals of the celestial court couldn't feel immortal realm. They felt that they could no longer sense the immortal Tao. It was as if they were no longer true immortals, but undying. This was a very special and ridiculous mental fluctuation that greatly damaged the morale of the immortal army. Kill! War cries shook the heavens, becoming even more bloody and savage. Immortal Race's 3rd city was filled with mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Because of this, a great calamity was born. Large amounts of immortal cultivators were bathed in blood. The skies were filled with heads, shattered bones, and flesh that danced about. The bloody scene. People went crazy. Yuan and the other top 10 overlords went crazy. They wanted to wash the 3rd Xian people with blood. They wanted to conquer this ancient city and establish an indestructible foundation in the 10,000 tribe battlefield. They wanted the name of the celestial court to sweep across the undying heavenly domain again. However, the battle between Su Yan and Xian Jun wasn't over yet. In the world of blazing swordlight, Su Yin seemed to have become one with the replica of the immortal slaying sword. He slashed furiously, destroying everything. Even Xian Jun's heavenly eye of darkness was twisting, cracking, and trembling. "I can't lose to you," Xian Jun shouted angrily. He burned all his life force and pushed the heavenly eye of darkness to burn again. Dark light flowed out like the power of Heaven Punisher. It tried to block Su Yan's sword. Boom! The third city of the immortals trembled, and the sound of thunder exploded. People felt that the city was about to collapse. At the critical moment, the ancient city shone on its own. Hundreds of millions of formation marks fell from the ancient city. They emitted an ancient and vast divine might, and forcibly stabilized the city that was about to collapse. Kill! Xian Jun burned all his life force. His eyes turned into Heaven Punisher runes. He used his strongest battle strength and charged. Boom! The sky fell and the earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. The dark wind danced. It was inexplicably terrifying. It was too terrifying and invincible. The pair of heavenly eyes seemed to control the life and death of the heavens. The light sputtered out was like an apocalyptic tornado. The entire ancient city shook again. It was hard to imagine how powerful it was. Su Yan's terrifying eyes contained the heaven-punishing order and tore apart the sword radiance. Many people could see that Su Yan's magnificent figure was riddled with bloody holes. It was as if his entire body was about to be smashed into pieces. If it wasn't for his supreme treasure body, he would have been destroyed in that exchange. Even if he could withstand it, his body was in excruciating pain and was about to fall apart. Slash! Su Yan roared. The dancing sword edge became even sharper. It slashed the Heaven Punisher, split the heavens, and swept across the stars in the sky. The surging sword energy surged over, and it contained the supreme profundity of the immortal slaying Tao. In the end, it invaded Xian Jun's heaven's eye, causing it to distort and tremble. Black blood flowed out from it. 10 ways of Heaven Punisher, Xian Jun shouted in fear. How did Su Yin know this secret art? Why? As the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor, he knew very well that the ancestor of the Xian people had paid a heavy price to dig out the Heaven Punisher eye from a dangerous place. In the past million years, ever since the Celestial Court was destroyed, the Xian people's ancestor had dug out many dangerous places and secretly destroyed some orthodoxies. The Heaven Punisher eye was one of them. In short, he was getting stronger and stronger. He once said that almost no one could survive once he used the Heaven Punisher eye, but now Xianju, was going to be killed. Was this also a peerless secret art in the 10 Ways of Heaven Punisher series? He knew very little about the 10 Ways of Heaven Punisher. In short, the immortal slaying path terrified him. Oh no, oh no. The upper echelons of the Xian people were shocked. They had been watching this battle. The sect master's face was ugly. He saw black blood flowing out of the Heaven Punisher eye of darkness. This was a sign of death. His face was serious. Xian Jun had killed himself and stepped into the 10,000 tribe battlefield. If he really died, even the powerful Xian people's ancestor wouldn't know that he had died in battle. If the Xian people's ancestor knew, he might be able to save his life. But it was too late to say anything now. Was Xian Jun's luck really coming to an end? Otherwise, why would he encounter such a calamity? He even faced death as soon as he attacked. This was too unlucky. I have to live. Xian Jun's broken Heaven Punisher eye was still burning. Black waves surged into the sky, blasting heaven and earth apart. He wanted to reverse the battle, break through Su Yan's sword, and escape. He had to escape and report this matter to his master. Slash! Su Yan swung his sword again. His black hair danced in the wind. The golden sword embryo in his hand shone with billions of sword rays. Even in the process of Su Yan's ultimate recovery, the sword embryo was about to explode. Immortal slaying sword kill. He roared and swung the sword embryo that was about to explode. This sword cut through the sky. It was too terrifying. The entire city seemed to be cut apart by time and space. As the endless sword rays slashed forward, the black waves in the sky were destroyed. Then, one sword ray after another slashed at the heaven's eye of darkness. Finally, the eyeball spilled thick black blood, dyeing the void red. Ah! Xian Jun screamed. He still had many tricks up his sleeve that he hadn't had time to use. But he didn't have the chance. Under the immortal slaying sword, he couldn't be distracted. Finally, he didn't have any time to breathe. The sword ray cut through his eyeball and slashed at his essence spirit. Patriarch, Xian people's third city. Corpses were everywhere, and blood was everywhere. In their fury, a group of Xian people experts charged over, trying to protect Xian Jun and take him away. Unfortunately, as soon as they unsealed this area, they were torn apart by the energy ripples that filled the world. Then they exploded. This group of people didn't have much time to create a storm before they withered and died violently. Who could take part in it? Who could take Patriarch Xian Jun away? Even the Xian people experts who survived were affected by the battle of Heaven Punisher. They were laughing and crying, as if they had become demented. No one dared to get close. The battlefield had turned into a forbidden area. Su Yin was riddled with wounds, and his entire body was covered in bloody holes. His body was about to fall apart. He endured the intense pain and walked towards Xian Jun with the cracked golden sword embryo. Xian Jun wanted to get up, but it was useless. He didn't even have the strength to stand up. He was too old. His hair was white, and he was lethargic. His life was coming to an end. I won't accept this, he roared. His eyes were bleeding. He was unwilling and desperate. He had many tricks up his sleeve. He had ways to save his life, but he had no chance. All his chances had been mercilessly cut off by this sword. As a disciple of the Xian people's ancestor, even if he died in battle, he couldn't die like this. Shouldn't he die in glory? But he couldn't do it. He had encountered a terrifying enemy, a ridiculous existence. Xian Jun fell silent. Thinking back to his life, he laughed angrily. He used to be so glorious and proud. Even the Xian people's sect master was nothing in front of him. Now that he looked back, he found it laughable. Su Yan's cold exterior was not calm inside. Xian Jun had extraordinary potential and terrifying talent. Of course, he couldn't compare to himself when he was young. He felt lucky. If he hadn't been affected by the sea devil of the underworld, causing his strongest talent to change, his life would not have been so exciting. If you live, you can give me something in exchange. Su Yan stared coldly at Xian Jun. He was already in front of him. He lowered his head and said, I can spare your life. Ha! Ha ha ha! Xian Jun laughed. There wasn't much ferocity on his face. On the contrary, he looked very calm. He said, I, Xian Jun, used to command the world. I used to be so glorious. I didn't expect to die after I cut off my own cultivation. Then I'll fulfill your wish. The broken sword embryo in Su Yan's hand glowed and slashed forward. He was going to cut Xian Jun in half. This scene angered the glorious orthodoxies of the immortal heavenly domain. They were about to shake the world. After all, he was the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor. Now that he was cut by a young man, it was a great humiliation. But who could stop it? Who? However, just as Su Yan's sword was about to cut Xian Jun, his expression changed abruptly. The hair on his back stood on end, and goosebumps appeared all over his body, because he noticed a figure standing there. Perhaps she had been standing there all along, watching them fight. Now, she appeared on her own. She walked out of the blurry world. Her figure was blurry. She was wearing a wide gray robe and had an ancient and mysterious aura. Her appearance was too sudden. With a flick of her sleeve, she took Xian Jun and left the third city of the Xian people. Stop! Stay! That's my treasure! Su Yan was furious. He raised his killing sword and chased her out of the city. This woman was fast and mysterious. Her gray robe was ancient in style. There was a faintly discernible word on it. It was filled with the aura of the great Tao. Tao. There was a word on the robe. Tao. Usually, the word embroidered on the robe was the clan name. But this clan name was a little shocking. Chapter 1532. Who's there? The spectators outside the city were in an uproar. They could vaguely see a graceful figure leaving the third city of the Xian people with Xian Jun. Who was that? Was that someone from the Xian people? They didn't see clearly, not even the true immortals. They only caught a glimpse of the figure before they saw Su Yin chasing after Xianjun with a killing sword. This was snatching food from the tiger's mouth, and he even succeeded. After all, the young Devil King was severely injured. Could he catch up? Stay. Su Yin was furious. Xianjun's background was too great, so he didn't care about his corpse. The only thing Su Yin cared about was Xianjun's storage space, or rather, the Taiyin Mother Scripture and the Eyes of Execution. Of course, he didn't have much hope for the Taiyin Mother Scripture and the Eyes of Execution. However, the storage space of the primogenitor's disciple was probably filled with rare treasures. It wasn't something the false immortals of the Xian people could compare to. Now that the spoils of war were snatched from under his nose, Su Yin was flustered and exasperated. He chased after Xianjun. Something big is going to happen, isn't it? In the third city of the Xian people, the battle raged on. There was a frenzied killing. The spectators outside the city knew very well that this was a huge earthquake. The disciple of the Xian people's primogenitor killed himself and entered the 10,000 tribes battlefield to recultivate. In the end, he was killed by the young Devil King. This matter was too big. It would probably shake the entire cultivation world. It's not just a big matter. The Xian people wanted to wipe out the celestial court in one fell swoop. In the end, they shot themselves in the foot. This fall will be remembered by the Xian people for the rest of their lives. The three kings of the celestial court are the same person. I still can't believe it. Is this true? It's definitely the strongest supernatural power in history. The three pure ones in one breath. I didn't expect the celestial court to have such a shocking supernatural power. It's an invincible secret art. The experts discussed incessantly. If it wasn't for this supernatural power, they wouldn't be able to understand Su Yan's state. But thinking about it, they still found it unbelievable. The young Devil King who caused a huge storm in the immortal heavenly domain and Xia Kunlun who did great things in the 10,000 tribes battlefield were the same person. Why aren't there any reinforcements? In the third city of the Xian people, the war continued. Gods and demons danced chaotically, and bloody battles raged on. The Xian people suffered heavy losses. If it weren't for the 6th-level true immortals, the battle would have ended long ago. In short, Xianjun's crushing defeat had greatly damaged the fighting spirit of the Xian people. The Celestial Court must have given birth to a young paragon. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to defeat Xianjun in such a manner. Do you think our Flame Emperor organization has no one? The Flame Sparrow replied coldly. There was no doubt about her strength. Her slender body was bathed in rolling golden flames, and the temperature she emitted became increasingly hot. It was not inferior to the true Samadhi fire, and once it was unleashed, her battle prowess would be extraordinary. The war in this big region was not limited to this place. The Flame Emperor organization had also deployed a large number of cavalry to intercept the troops that were trying to send out messages using the killing formation. The main reason was that the teleportation array in the ancient city had also been destroyed by Su Yan. This was because even though the Xian people were killing in the third city, the news could not be transmitted out in a short period of time. In short, since the battle had begun, no matter the cost, they had to firmly grasp the ancient city before the Xian people's reinforcements arrived. Roar! On a certain street, the defensive killing formation was destroyed. The Long Daesong barged its way into an official residence. Stop it for me. In the official residence, there was a group of Xian people guarding it. However, when the Long Daesong really charged in and raised its horns, all the weapons and spells that were blocking its way exploded. The group of guards screamed in agony, almost fainting from the impact. They were terrified. What kind of monster was this? Wasn't its strength a little too frightening? Boom! In the end, the Long Daesong crashed into a secret treasure vault. Inside, the light of treasures shot up into the sky. A sea of heavenly treasures was stored inside. There were even stalks of celestial herbs that were emitting auspicious lights, automatically spitting out the essence of heaven and earth. Oh! The Long Daesong cried out excitedly, licking its lips with its big tongue, drooling. It was as cheerful as a child. It opened its big mouth, stuck its big head out, and started eating wildly. To the long day song, it could even crush ores and refine them. The amount of food it spat out suddenly became a little frightening. It wanted to eat everything it saw. The entire secret treasure vault was devoured by the long day song in just a few breaths. Hungry, the long day song clutched its stomach. It felt very hungry, so hungry that it almost lost its strength. Daesong? Fan Jian rushed over and noticed the long Daesong in this state. He muttered, "This guy's going to evolve?" It ate the entire secret treasure vault clean. The only thing it didn't eat was humans. Isn't that enough? There were more than 1 or 2 secret treasure vaults in the Xian people's third city. They definitely contained a lot of resources. Why isn't Big Brother back yet? The Daesong is probably going to awaken. Fan Jian didn't dare to make a decision about the long Daesong. Of course, as the Sword Sect's holy son, he could also see some clues about the long Daesong. If the long Daesong was really going to evolve, it would be worth it even if he had to pay a huge price. In fact, the experts in the Xian people's third city all thought that the long Daesong was a true immortal. They didn't treat it as a virtual immortal. In terms of age, the long Daesong was only 1 year old. This was only known to Su Yin and Bamboo Moon. It knew nothing else. The long Daesong's potential was too ridiculous and abnormal. If news of this spread out, it wouldn't be a good thing. She's so fast. Where did this monster come from? Even now, Su Yin was still chasing after the gray-robed woman. He endured the pain on his body and chased after her with gritted teeth. However, as he chased, Su Yin was really discouraged. He was furious. Could he only watch as the cooked duck flew away? This is unfair. Su Yin was furious. The gray-robed woman's speed was extremely fast. She seemed to be floating along the long river of time and space. Her movements were graceful, like a true immortal riding the wind. The woman's sleeves fluttered. She carried a mysterious aura as she strolled through time and space. As she walked, time and space disappeared one after another. Her figure became more and more blurry and mysterious. It was as if she was gradually returning to nothingness. This made Su Yin feel aggrieved. How powerful was this woman? Was she a true immortal or a virtual immortal? If she was really a virtual immortal, that would be terrifying. Her speed alone was enough to rule the world. Her steps were light and agile. With every step she took, the vast rivers and mountains seemed to shrink under her feet. It looked like shrinking the ground into an inch, but this was actually not this mystical ability. Soon, the woman arrived at an uninhabited area. Her figure gradually stopped and stood on top of a mountain. A cool breeze blew over. The woman's clothes fluttered, and her voluminous robes fluttered. Her proud figure was also outlined in a perfect arc. When Su Yin saw this woman, he was a little dazed. The woman's immortal appearance was peerless and indescribable. She looked a little unreal. Moreover, the root of wisdom grew on her fair forehead, and the sound of the great Tao appeared, especially her pair of eyes that seemed to be smiling. The galaxy disappeared, and the heavens rotated. It looked quite shocking, but there was no substantial aura leaking out. Su Yan's heart was heavy. What did she mean? Immortal, why did you snatch my spoils of war? He's just a dead man. Could it be that you know him? Xian Jun was already dead. His primordial spirit was slashed by Su Yan's immortal slaying sword. There was no way he could survive. He only lingered on for a while before he was declared dead. At this time, the gray-robed woman's gaze fell on Su Yin. Being looked at like this, Su Yin suddenly shivered. He felt that he had been seen through. Was this an illusion, or was her cultivation just too profound? Or was her heavenly "I really not simple"? I don't know him, and I have no intention of snatching his spoils of war. Fellow Taoist, you misunderstand me. The woman in the conference spoke. Her voice was very pleasant and pleasant. She also patiently said, "This is for you. Treat it as an exchange for your spoils of war." From a woman's voluminous robes, a delicate snow-white hand reached out. A colorful jade bottle was in her palm. She threw it to Su Yin. Su Yin was surprised. If she really wanted to snatch it, Su Yin really could not hold her back. He caught the jade bottle. He did not peek inside to see what was inside, but he guessed that it was not something ordinary. He kept it solemnly. Next, Suyin was pleasantly surprised, because the gray-robed woman also took out Xian Jun's spatial treasure and threw it to Suyin. Clearly, she was not concerned about it. This surprised Suyin. He was really looking forward to the vast amount of resources in Xian Jun's storage space. After all, he was not an ordinary person. Even if he was an ordinary grand heavenly expert, his value was not something that Suyin could imagine. Of course, most importantly, since Xian Jun had severed his own cultivation, his storage space might very well contain rare resources for breaking through to the true immortal realm. This was what Suyin valued the most. Although Suyin had also prepared some, it was really not enough. Immortal, why do you want a corpse? Suyin was puzzled. He asked, is there anything special about him? The gray-robed woman was as ethereal as an immortal. She was beautiful and had a kind of tranquility. However, she also seemed mysterious. She was like a dream and was flawless. Standing there, Suyin could not see through her at all. The Lunar Mother Scripture was once the mother scripture of heaven and earth. It is one of the top heavenly techniques in this world. The gray-robed woman said softly, the Lunar Mother Scripture that this person cultivates does not seem complete. Moreover, his body functions are relatively weak. Otherwise, if he really stood in his golden age, you might not be able to suppress him. What? The scripture is not complete? Suyin was shocked. How powerful was this scripture? It was even known as the mother scripture of heaven and earth. This was quite frightening. Could it be that in terms of value, it was more shocking than the initial scripture? Of course, Xian Jun's strength was unquestionable. After all, he had severed his own cultivation and had to pay a lot. The more intense the battle, the more serious his injuries were. How could the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor be an ordinary person? Unfortunately, he had lost to Su Yin in the end. His death was not worth it. You want his corpse? Could it be? Su Yin thought. Could it be that this woman wants to find a scripture related to the Lunar Mother Scripture from Xian Jun's corpse? It sounded like a fantasy story, but this was also Su Yan's guess. He felt that there was no such possibility. Who could comb through Xian Jun's corpse to find what he had learned? Moreover, it was the world-shaking Lunar Mother Scripture. The mysterious woman did not respond to Su Yin. Instead, she continued, you're cultivating the initial scripture. You haven't read the original scripture, right? If you continue to cultivate like this, there might be some trouble. Su Yan's heart trembled. Could it be that she was from the celestial court? Otherwise, how could she see the problem with the initial scripture? However, Su Yin had not obtained the most primitive scripture. He had only obtained the initial scripture from the Earth's awakening. What he had obtained was the profound meaning of the scripture. All of the cultivation scriptures had been discovered by himself. The initial scripture is broad and profound. Although it includes everything, how could it be so easily carried? The gray-robed woman's face was dreamy. Her tone was calm as she said softly, however, your foundation is very strong. Even if some trouble does occur, there is hope that you can overcome it in the future. This scripture will become more difficult as you progress. However, it will not be easy to achieve the order of the scripture in the future. Su Yin found it difficult to calm down. Ever since he had followed the path of the Celestial Emperor, Su Yin knew how difficult it was to cultivate this scripture. Although he had not read the complete scripture to comprehend the profound meaning within, Su Yin had gained a lot by following the path of the Celestial Emperor. He believed that one day, the profound meaning hidden in his body would be released. Who are you? Su Yin asked. The gray-robed woman's fairy-like appearance was like a dream. She stood on the mountain peak. Her clothes fluttered as she said, I'm Dao Shui. Chapter 1533. It was a very mysterious surname, which surprised Su Yin. Dao's surname alone was majestic and contained all kinds of mysterious colors. Dao Shui. Su Yin muttered. He did not know why, but he suddenly had a misconception. It was as if there was a kind of prestige that came from ancient times that affected the heavens and the earth, and it caused him to feel a little suffocated. This made Su Yin pale. He was even more shocked by this woman. At the same time, he cupped his hands and said, "I'm Su Yin. Your surname is Su?" Dao Shui was a little surprised. Her hazy eyes looked at Su Yin. "Yes, what's so strange about it?" Su Yin was stunned. He looked at Dao Shui and wanted to know who this Dao Shui was. Why did she know so much about the beginning sutra? Perhaps she was from the celestial court and had a very high status. Nothing. Dao Shui was silent for a while and said, "I don't have much time left. It's time to go." "Fairy," Su Yin shouted. She was going to leave just like that. She floated away, and her figure gradually became blurry. She took Xian Jun's corpse with her and seemed to return to nothingness. It was very mysterious. "Fairy, are you from the celestial court?" Su Yin shouted. He wanted to know her background. Since she knew so much about the beginning sutra, she might really be related to the celestial court. Vaguely, Su Yin heard a sigh that reverberated in his heart, making him a little absent-minded. "If you encounter danger here, you can tell them my name." Su Yin heard this sentence, which entered his heart and didn't disappear for a long time. Su Yin was surprised. Where did this woman come from? Did she have a special status in the 10,000 tribe battlefield? Or was she really from the celestial court? Dao Shui. Su Yin picked his ears. Was this name very famous? He had never heard of it. This made Su Yin smile bitterly. What a strange woman. But her cultivation is too amazing. She shouldn't be a void immortal. I wonder what cultivation level she is at. Su Yin frowned. He had suddenly chased a girl to this place and even experienced such strange things. This caused Su Yin to feel confused. But thinking of his gains, Su Yin was full of smiles. Xian Jun's storage bag would definitely be of great help to Su Yin. At this moment, he thought of the Xian people's third city. I should go back. Su Yin returned at top speed. The battle in the third city of the immortals had yet to end. The immortals had a great expert at the sixth heaven of the true immortal realm. Although Yi Yuan and the others had obtained the immortal Dao realm puppet and possessed the battle prowess of a true immortal, a sixth heaven immortal Dao realm expert was not so easy to deal with. "Let's go. Let's get out of this region. Let's go." Everyone scatter and break out. On his way back, Su Yin heard low roars coming from a distant world. This made him smile. It seemed that the Xian people's third city had been completely conquered. The Xian people's army had been defeated and were running for their lives. Swish, swish. Among the Xian people who were running for their lives, there was a thunderous sound. Beams of dazzling sword light slashed through the sky, cutting through everything in their path. They slashed toward the crowd. Puff, puff. One after another, the fleeing cultivators trembled. Their bodies were cut open. Even their primordial spirits were extinguished and exploded in the sky. "Where do you think you're going?" Su Yin rushed over. He waved the golden sword embryo, which was on the verge of crumbling. Beams of sword light shot toward the crowd. Boom! Sword energy filled the sky, and it surged with heaven overflowing ripples. It swept through all directions, and this was a horrifying scene. It caused the heaven and earth to collapse, mountains to collapse, and heads to fly everywhere. "He's here." The Xian people who were running for their lives were terrified. They saw a devil king charging toward them. It's a young devil king. They were completely scared out of their wits. Even old ancestor Xian Jun was killed by him. He was completely a young supreme being, his ferocious might shocking the world, making them tremble. There were even true immortals who opened their eyes wide, roaring, "Hurry up and leave, leave." The world was in chaos. Blood flowed. Beam after beam of sword light shot toward the crowd, unleashing a bloody massacre. At the same time, the Xian people's third city fled in defeat. "Kill them all. Leave no one alive." Yi Yuan and the others were extremely brave. Each of them had been through hundreds of battles. They were all war kings who had killed their way out of hell. After all, they had risen from the weak and had killed their entire lives. Now that they had the battle prowess of a perfected immortal, they were like dragons and tigers that had broken out of their cages. The killing intent they emitted was as vast as the sea, about to sweep across the entire region. The entire region was bleeding. Too many people had died. The Xian people's army had completely lost their fighting spirit. They fled in all directions. However, Tensor and the others would not let any of them go. They rushed out of the Cien people's third city and hunted down the fleeing people all over the world. Be starred, a bunch of trash. Even if you escape, you'll be killed. This scene angered the higher-ups of the Cien people. Their eyes were red as they let out hysterical cries of anger. One could imagine how furious they were. They had been watching the battle from the beginning. In fact, everyone in the world was watching this battle. They were a dignified, immortal sect, a prosperous and powerful race. However, they were forced to flee in defeat. They had completely lost the dignity of an immortal sect. Everyone in the world was laughing at them. There was a ball of fire in their hearts. They were about to go crazy. Little B. starred, "It's all because of you. It's all because of you." Su Yin, who was in the midst of a massacre, was struck by a thunderbolt. Surging immortal Tao order descended from the sky and filled the entire sky. It contained an extremely terrifying source of energy and suppressed Su Yin. "Open for me," Su Yin roared. He brandished his tattered sword embryo and forcefully split open the surging immortal Tao order. His entire body charged out of the energy seal. Boom! However, what came toward him was a huge cauldron. It radiated immortal splendor and was extremely heavy. It smashed towards Su Yan's physical body. The sword embryo in Su Yan's hand was blazing so brightly that it was about to explode. He erupted with 120% of his strength and hurled this sword embryo out. It instantly collided with the huge cauldron. It was a shocking scene. Su Yan's sword embryo had exploded, but the sword radiance it produced was also about to explode from the huge cauldron. Boom! At the same time, Su Yin charged over. Although he was heavily injured, his combat strength was still there. He erupted with all his might and unleashed his strongest strength. He swung his fist and attacked. Little B starred, "Do you still want to ride on my neck?" The 6th level true immortal of the Cien people laughed coldly. Although he was also heavily injured, his aura was still terrifying. Surging immortal Tao order gushed out and gathered in his palm. He met Su Yan's fist. Boom! A bolt of lightning exploded, shaking the heavens and the earth. Su Yan's body trembled violently. Blood spurted out of his pores. He was in great pain. He staggered backward and almost lost his footing. The scene was a little tragic. Su Yan's already heavily injured body was now covered in cracks. This old thing, Su Yan's heart trembled. After all, this was a 6th level true immortal. His strength was too shocking. He could completely suppress Su Yan. Unless he had a true immortal puppet, there was no way he could fight him. Little B starred, "Ha, you can't do it. You must feel terrible. You still want to fight a 6th level true immortal? Who do you think you are? You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." The 6th level true immortal's eyes flashed with hatred. He knew very well that the Cien people's third city had been breached. The Cien people would definitely lose face. Even if they managed to escape alive, they would be severely punished by their clans. "You're spewing sh*t. I'll kill you even if I have to suffer heavy injuries." Su Yin was furious. He wanted to summon the true immortal puppet. Although he was heavily injured, he should be able to kill him by fusing with the puppet for a short time. "Ha ha, brother, let me do it. You rest for a while." All of a sudden, a surging fiendish aura filled the air, surging over and sweeping through the entire territory. Yin Jun. Su Yan's expression changed. It was as if he saw a ferocious general charging toward him. He was truly brave. Riding on a powerful ancient beast, he unleashed 5 true immortal lights and charged toward the Cien people's true immortal experts. "Kill!" Yin Jun roared. His ferocious aura surged and shook the starry skies. This person was truly a great general. He waved his blood-stained war spear like a demon from hell. No one knew how many people he had killed. The stench of blood from him was pungent. "Yin Emperor's organization, you all deserve to die." The Cien people's true immortal's face was cold. He did not expect Yin Jun to come at such a crucial moment. The young Devil King was definitely heavily injured. He might even be able to kill him. He was filled with resentment. He did not choose to fight. Instead, He wanted to run away. However, as soon as he turned around, his face turned green. Powerful knights charged toward him one after another from all directions. They emitted a cold aura. The blood-stained weapons in their hands emitted a cold light that could cut one's soul. Kill. A group of experienced knights charged over. There were more than 100 of them. They charged toward the Xian people's true immortal experts like a torrent. I did not expect Yin Emperor's organization to send so many people. Thank you. Su Yan's eyes looked at the hundreds of knights. Suddenly, he felt a surge of emotions that were connected by blood. This made Su Yan's blood boil. He wanted to walk together with this group of warriors, fight alongside them, and fight against the enemy together. Why are you being so polite? Are we all on the same side? At this moment, a woman in a black dress came. She had a slender figure, fair skin, and beautiful features. After all, she was a peerless beauty of the Nine Cauldron continent. There was a golden flame imprint on her forehead. It was dancing with a seductive flame, making her look even more charming. One had to admit that Yin Kei's aura was very strong. She was definitely a top void immortal expert. She looked at Su Yan with a complicated expression. There was no one who did not know about Su Yan. He had once dominated the emperor ranking for several years. Rumor had it that he had died. However, he had miraculously revived. In a short period of time, he had also grown to this level. No one knew what kind of commotion would happen when Su Yan's name was still on the emperor rankings after the tournament of the 10,000 ended. Su Yan couldn't help but laugh out loud when Yin Kei called him one on the same side. Haha, he laughed happily. His emotions were surging. In the future, he would no longer be fighting alone. The heavenly court from 1,000,000 years ago suddenly disintegrated, and a colossus withered away just like that. Even the few remaining powerhouses were called fugitives. To a group of races, this was a shame that could not be washed away. After 1,000,000 years, the celestial court did not fall silent. Today, the armored cavalry trampled the Xian people's third city. It would definitely shock the world. From this moment onwards, Su Yan was full of anticipation and yearning for the future. Even the group of knights who were fighting were full of fighting spirit. They let out heroic smiles. There was nothing more exciting than a peerless genius from the celestial court. In short, they were like Su Yan. They were full of confidence for the future. Big brother, big brother. At this moment, Fan Jian came. He panted and said, I finally found you. Yin Kei looked at Fan Jian in surprise. She knew how strong this person was. He had killed many true immortals in the Xian people's third city. However, Yin Kei's sharp senses told her that this person was hiding something. His true combat strength was most likely incredible. Fan Jian was the sword sex saint. If he went crazy, his combat strength would not be inferior to Su Yan's. What's wrong? Su Yan frowned and said, Why are you in such a panic? What happened? Fan Jian hurried over and said, Long Day Song seems to be undergoing some kind of evolution. This guy swallowed a large number of natural treasures. Now he seems to be full. The situation is not good. Go back and take a look. Chapter 1534. Did you eat too much? Su Yan's face darkened. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then he felt a chill in his heart. Subconsciously, he wondered if Long Day Song was about to step into the true immortal realm. In fact, Long Day Song was only 1 year old. However, it was a 10 transformation true dragon after all. Its growth speed couldn't be estimated using common sense. If it was really going to undergo some kind of awakening, it would be a major event. You go and do what you need to do. Leave this to me. Yin Kei said, All right, I'll go back first. You guys be careful. If the Xian people regroup and attack again, you guys can retreat to the third city of the Xian people. Su Yan called for Fan Jian to return with him. On the way back, he encountered many ferocious knights who were chasing after immortal clan cultivators in various large territories. This shocked Fan Jian. He didn't expect the Yin Emperor organization to be so powerful. After all, this organization was besieged by the Xian people all year round. It was really hard for them to get stronger. However, this battle was beyond everyone's expectations. The Yin Emperor organization still had a group of elite soldiers who were all experienced in battle. Kill. The whole region was shaken by the battle cries. Yin Ke gathered all the knights and gave the order. The whole army was in a frenzy. There's only one word. Kill. Kill them until they piss their pants. Kill them until they cry for their parents. I don't want to see anyone from the Xian people in this region for a day. I want to plant the flag of the Celestial Court in this region. Kill. The Flame Sparrow was exceptionally powerful. With a single order, it was as if a mountain flood roared, shaking the heavens and earth. It surged violently, containing the great power of a group of clans. It contained an unrivaled might as it swept through the entire great region. Kill them all. Kill. We must win. We must win. Kill them all in one battle. Avenge the Elder. The 500 knights were in high spirits and roared. They had been looking forward to this day for a long time. Finally, they could stand up and fight a tough battle with the Xian people. After the battle at the ruins of the Celestial Court, the Xian people took revenge on the Flame Emperor organization. Many of the Flame Emperor organization's elders' corpses were hung at the city gates. That was a humiliation, a trampling on their dignity. Now that the army of 500 had gathered, their aura was even more terrifying. Boom! The blood essences gathered together and formed a blood-colored barrier that shrouded the sky and shattered the heavens. A total of 500 valiant and battle-hardened knights gathered together and formed a blood-red lion. Its roar shook the vast territory and caused the starry sky to collapse. Kill. Along the way, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Sand and stones flew everywhere, and ghosts wept and gods howled. Batch after batch of immortal race cultivators trembled, their bodies exploding. They were completely unable to withstand the charge of the army and were wailing in fear. Some of them were trampled to death by the Iron Knights and died in despair. The true immortals of the Xian people felt their scalps go numb as they fled frantically. They knew what this formation meant. The Flame Emperor organization was really putting their lives on the line. Only the core army of the Xian people could stand a chance against them. If it did not leave now, all of them would die here. 500 soldiers, Su Yin, who had returned to the third city of the Xian people, looked back at the scene of the blood essences piercing through the heavens. His ears were filled with earth-shattering shouts. At this moment, Su Yan's blood was boiling. A cold glint flashed in his eyes as he said, "One day in the future, I'll turn them into heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals." Su Yan had the confidence to say this. With his mystic arts, he could rely on the army to unleash super powerful combat strength. Once these 500 soldiers formed a battle formation, they would definitely be able to withstand the might of the enemy and sweep through the heavens and earth. He believed that one day in the future, wherever the tip of his sword pointed, he would defeat all enemies. Fan Jian scratched his head as he heard Su Yan's words. He wondered if Su Yan would one day become the leader of the Celestial Court and lead the army to wage war against the Xian people. At this moment, Fan Jian thought too much. What was the true strength of the immortal sex? It had to be the ancestor-level experts. Some of them had lived for a very long time and were quite terrifying and unbelievable. Over the endless years, how many ancestor-level experts had walked out of the cultivation world? The ancestor of the sword sect was one. The rest were very limited and could be counted with one's fingers. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. The time spent to cultivate to this level would easily be millions of years. This goal was really too far away. Of course, talent was not the only factor. Some great luck was also needed. The ancestor of the sword sect would not have achieved what he had today if he did not obtain the fortune of the Four Sages Sword Realm. Although the times created heroes, the rise of the Celestial Court was still very far away. Although they could cause a ruckus in the Myriad Tribe's battlefield, they were still considered weak in the immortal heavenly domain. Oh, whoa. At this moment, Su Yan heard a scream that sounded like a pig being butchered. In the center of the Xian people's third city, Long Day Song was lying on the ground with its belly bulging high. Its body was golden and dazzling. It was very powerful. However, this fellow had eaten too much. Its pores were overflowing with divine essence. It was hard to imagine how many good things it had swallowed. Suyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this scene. Danzong Shu was also nearby. When he saw Suyin, he had mixed feelings. He walked over and cupped his hands. I'm Danzong Shu. Taoist brother's power is really shocking. Hearing this, Suyin walked up and cupped his hands. Taoist brother, you don't have to be so courteous. I will remember your kindness in protecting Liangyan. I will never forget it. Dan Yangshu had a tall and straight figure and looked very valiant. After all, he was the eldest senior brother of the alchemy sect. He smiled bitterly and said, "These words are too much for me. Liangyan is a disciple of my alchemy sect after all. I can't protect her completely. Taoist brother, you have already helped us a lot by escorting her to the Xian people's third city." Suyin said solemnly. Taoist brother, you don't have to blame yourself. The Xian people are powerful, and all of this was targeted at me. Thank you for helping me get through this safely. He was very worried about Liangyan. He did not expect Danzong Shu to escort her here, and even wanted to take Liangyan away in front of the forces of the underworld. In fact, if it was not for this, the consequences would be unpredictable. There might be a big problem. Let's cut to the chase. I, Danzong Shu, am determined to be your friend. Danzong Shu smiled. The Xian people have gone too far. In order to capture Liangyan, they trampled on the dignity of the Danzong. I will remember this grudge. I didn't expect you to really come and even overturn the Xian people's third city. It really surprised me. Ha! I'm also determined to be your friend. Suyin laughed. Actually, I was also surprised today. Surprised? Danzong Shu was stunned. He did not understand. Suyin was surprised because he was a great master. Woo-woo. At this moment, Long Daesong was making cheerful noises. This was because Liangyan was constantly channeling her own energy to help the Long Daesong calm down the violent energy in its body, greatly alleviating its pain. He winked at Liangyan, trying to get on her good side. Suyin was so angry that he laughed. Then, his face turned serious. It seems like it's really undergoing some kind of awakening. This is the first time I've heard of a true immortal awakening. Danzong Shu thought that Long Daesong was also a true immortal and felt that it was awakening. Suyin was sharp enough to notice that Long Daesong's body functions had weakened a lot. A powerful devouring force was even churning in its body, sucking the energy in its body, and it was about to undergo an awakening. After the awakening of the 10 transformations true dragon, would it rush into the true immortal realm in one go? Yan, I'm going to take it to the secret chamber. You should rest. Liang Yan, who was concentrating on helping Long Daesong calm down the violent energy, heard a familiar voice that she had not heard for a long time. It made her heart tremble. She stood up and looked at Suyin. You're back. She smiled, releasing a brilliant smile. She was still as gentle as water, elegant and moving. Suyin smiled at her and said, Are you scared? Ha! This street reverberated with laughter that sounded like silver bells, rippling between heaven and earth. Danzong Shu was surprised. Was there a deep relationship between the two? Or did they already know each other? However, he did not get to the bottom of it. He called Liangyan over. There were some things that he needed to discuss with her. He did not know if Liangyan would return to Danzong. After all, she was Dan Tinyuan's disciple. Although Liangyan did not have much combat power, her alchemy skills were superb. There was a great chance that she would become a 9th-grade alchemist in the future. The meaning was completely different. Just the identity of a 9th-grade alchemist was enough to make her a VIP of an immortal sect. Although such people did not have much combat power, their special abilities were quite abnormal. To a group of people, they were naturally important. At this time, Suyin took Long Daesong to find a place to stay in the ancient city. Fan Jian could not wait to say, if Long Daesong is really awakening, we must find the life essence evolution fluid. But this thing is too difficult. Where can we find it? Fan Jian was very concerned about Long Daesong. A false immortal was awakening? What kind of joke was this? However, Long Daesung was really awakening at a deeper level. Hence, they needed the life essence evolution fluid. Of course, this was not evolution. Long Daesung's life essence was already ridiculous. At this time, they could only think of using this kind of resource to replenish the energy that Long Daesung needed. Perhaps there is something inside. Su Yin took out Xian Jun's treasure. It was a silver gourd with an ancient aura. There was an extremely strong seal on the gourd. Su Yin did not hesitate and used the energy of his primordial spirit to break it. After all, this was a seal set up by Xian Jun. Su Yin spent half a day to break the seal on the silver gourd. The gourd shone. Vaguely, vast divine might flowed out of it. Fan Jian was shocked. Could this be a grand Luo's supreme treasure? Is this Xian Jun's treasure? Seeing Su Yin nod, Fan Jian was shocked. It was hard to imagine what was inside the treasure of the Xian people's ancestors' disciple. Let's activate it at the same time. Su Yin was full of anticipation. His injuries were serious, and he needed Fan Jian's help. The two of them put in a lot of effort, and the silver gourd finally awakened. Boom! The ancient gourd released a thunderous sound during the awakening process. The entire gourd shone, and even the mouth of the gourd shone with a silver radiance. What kind of treasure is this? Su Yin was shocked. He had thought that the silver gourd was a space-time artifact used to store treasures. Now, it seemed that the power of the silver gourd alone was enough to scare him. Just a small amount of silver radiance appeared, and it was as if the stars in the sky were breathing. It contained the great stars of the heavens, and its immortal might was vast. Could this be the Milky Way gourd? This is too rich, using the Milky Way gourd as a storage space. Fan Jian shouted with bloodshot eyes. This was just a slight awakening of divine might, but it had caused such terrifying energy waves. It was hard to imagine how powerful the Milky Way gourd was. Su Yin sucked in a cold breath. He felt that he had struck gold. Chapter 1535. The ancient silver gourd spewed out silver immortal radiance. The gourd looked small, but it was as if the ancient star sea was howling. Its power was unimaginable. Su Yin was shocked. They were under the Milky Way gourd and felt like they were going to be crushed alive. This gourd was definitely a rare treasure. It was only at the initial stage of awakening, but it was already emitting such terrifying power. It was hard to imagine how powerful it would be if it was fully awakened. Milky Way gourd. Su Yin was shocked. First of all, this thing contained shocking rules and order. It was very difficult to refine it. Based on the appearance of the silver gourd, Fan Jian was sure that it was Daluo silver essence. It weighed about 5 kilograms. Of course, the immortal path laws inside were quite different. Once they fell, they were equivalent to immortal path laws. They could kill a powerful enemy in one move. Fan Jian was overjoyed. Once this thing is used, it's enough to cover the world. This is a rare treasure. It's extremely rare, even among immortal sect orthodoxies. Our sword sect only has one of this. It's said that it's the sect master's favorite. Ha ha ha. Su Yin grinned. The corners of his mouth almost reached his ears. What was important was not the Milky Way gourd, but how many rare treasures were stored inside. Big brother, hurry up. There must be a lot of treasures inside. Fan Jian rubbed his hands. He was so excited that his eyes shone. This harvest was too great. He also wanted to broaden his horizons. What's the rush? Let me recover. Su Yin had lost a lot. He even needed a lot of energy to activate the Milky Way gourd. It was no wonder that Xian Jun did not have time to activate his treasure during the battle. With the vast amount of energy required by the Milky Way gourd alone, it was difficult for a void immortal to support it. At this moment, Su Yin took out an immortal medicine and stuffed it into his mouth. Buzz! Su Yan's body, which was covered in blood, started to burn fiercely. The energy contained in the celestial medicine was magnificent. Just the majestic life force alone had stimulated Su Yan's blood-stained body to roar. So comfortable, Su Yan's throat was moving. His injuries were already serious. Under the nourishment of the immortal medicine, his flesh and blood glowed. His weak qi and blood began to fill up, and the injured areas began to heal on their own. In that instant, he activated the heaven mending technique. The vital energy and blood within his body surged, endlessly nourishing his injured body. Even his pores flowed with divine splendor. 6 hours later, Su Yin looked solemn and dignified. He had already refined less than half of the boundless energy of the immortal medicine. His entire aura began to strengthen and strengthen. The process was extremely fast. Using celestial medicine to heal his wounds was too extravagant after all. His wounded body had already completely healed, and there was even qi and blood gushing out from his pores, revolving around Su Yin, making him look like an indestructible deity. In just half a day, wisps of powerful aura leaked out, sacred and dignified. He had recovered more than half of his strength. Of course, there was still quite a bit of immortal medicine essence left, which Su Yin had sealed in his body's treasure trove. After all, he still wasn't at his most powerful state and still needed to recuperate. Let's start. Fan Jian ate a few healing elixirs and recovered quite a bit. Together, they activated the Milky Way gourd. Boom! The ancient silver gourd instantly shone brightly. The instant it was spat out, space and time trembled and then forcibly collapsed. Even an ancient silver rune appeared in the mouth of the gourd. Accompanied by the sound of the immortal path, this rune shone brilliantly as if it was evolving the universe, emitting supreme, immortal might. Bam, bam. From this moment on, items flew out of the Milky Way gourd one after another. However, after only a short opening, they all fell to the ground like deflated balloons, panting in exhaustion. What a freak! Su Yin was speechless. This Milky Way gourd could only be barely activated by a true immortal. It was impossible for a pseudo-immortal to rely on the Milky Way gourd to fight the enemy. Perhaps a small portion of the gourd's power would be unleashed, and they would already be killed by the enemy. In short, he didn't know how many treasures there were inside. After a short opening, 3 treasures flew out. I hope there's life essence evolution fluid. The long day song can't hold on for much longer. If there's no other way, I can only use immortal medicine. Su Yin silently recovered. At the same time, he grabbed a green furnace. The furnace didn't look like a powerful artifact, but the moment it was opened, a deafening dragon roar exploded. The green furnace blazed with divine light and was dyed with a golden luster. It was like a true dragon furnace, shining with dazzling light. True dragon blood. Fan Jian was shocked. What was sealed in the furnace was a golden liquid. The drops were like small golden dragons swimming, blooming with vigorous dragon essence. They were even roaring with their heads raised. This was a rare item, true dragon blood. It was of great help to breaking through to the true immortal realm. Su Yin gasped and said, "This might be the blood used by Xian Jun to break through. He must have prepared a lot of rare resources for his recultivation." Fan Jian's eyes turned red. As the sword sect's holy son, he also had such treatment and could obtain items not inferior to true dragon blood. However, this was because of the sword sect, because he was the sword sect's holy son. Su Yin really hit the jackpot. Killing Xian Jun was equivalent to gathering all the resources he needed to break through. After all, the more resources he had, the less detours he would have to take in the true immortal realm. This would also be of great benefit to the competition for the strongest in the future. Su Yin was overwhelmed with emotions. Drops of true dragon blood had a great miraculous effect on nourishing the body. Although Su Yin stole the supreme golden pill from the Sky Bamboo's golden immortal cave, and this pill was used to strengthen the body, the true dragon blood could cleanse Su Yin's body and even strengthen his life essence. Su Yin opened the second jade bottle. He was moved. This was the Tao comprehending golden pill. The elixir in the third jade bottle was no ordinary elixir. It was a golden, translucent elixir that contained vigorous soul, aura, origin fluctuations. This is the golden soul pill. It's similar to the Tao comprehending golden pill. It's a nascent soul secret treasure. Another rare pill appeared before Su Yan's eyes. True dragon blood, Tao comprehending golden pill, golden soul pill. These were all top resources for stepping into the true immortal realm. Su Yan laughed. He was rich. There must be a lot of rare treasures in this Milky Way gourd. This Yen Jun has completely helped you. Fan Jian was speechless. Fan Jian was speechless. Su Yan was really lucky. Who would have thought that Xian Jun would be killed by him? Even the Milky Way gourd would fall into Su Yan's hands. Open it again. After a while, Su Yan and Fan Jian had recovered a lot. They opened the Milky Way gourd again and gathered enough power to explode. Boom! The mouth of the gourd spewed out divine light. It was accompanied by treasures that fell from the sky one after another. Another 3 items were spat out from within. One of them attracted Su Yan's attention. This item was even at the true immortal realm. It was a purple bell. It looked simple and unadorned. Su Yan shook it gently, and a strand of shocking aura was emitted. The bell changed, as if it had turned into a purple ocean. It rumbled and emitted a terrifying fluctuation. At the same time, it was accompanied by the deafening sound of the immortal Tao wheel. What a treasure! It's not inferior to the 9 Heavens flame fan. Su Yan was pleasantly surprised. He was worried about what kind of item to find for the long day song. This purple bell was definitely suitable for it. It was a powerful weapon of the sound wave type. Once it was shaken, it could shake the heavens and the earth. This is a jar of starry sky, chalcedony. It can strengthen the bones of the human body. It is also a treasure that immortals prepare to break through. It can forge a Milky Way meridian. When the time comes, a true immortal's breath will be amazing. Fan Jian was speechless. This was also an extremely rare resource. Once refined, the starry sky chalcedony would give birth to all kinds of changes in the human body. When one breathed, it would be like a Milky Way whistling. It was extraordinary. When Su Yan opened the 6th bronze cauldron that was filled with energy, both he and Fan Jian cried out in surprise. Moreover, the entire residence was dyed with multicolored divine radiance that was accompanied by a vast aura of life that was flowing. Life essence evolution fluid. Su Yan was overjoyed. When he looked inside, it was as if he saw a universe spitting out. It emitted a vision of the beginning of heaven and earth. The majestic life force made him gasp in amazement. A 7th grade immortal. The immortal clan is indeed the immortal clan. They're too rich. Fan Jian was speechless. Their sword sect had also refined a cauldron of life essence evolution fluid before the opening of the myriad races battlefield. However, they had only refined a portion of 7th grade fluid. The powerful Xian people might have refined no less than 3 or 4 portions of 7th grade fluid. Don't forget that the number 1 supreme of the Xian people had obtained an 8th grade fluid. Only the heavens knew how great of a price the Xian people had paid. This was a flourishing immortal orthodoxy with primogeniture experts overseeing it. They dominated a terrifying amount of resources in secret realms. If they could even refine an 8th grade fluid, there was no need to mention a 7th grade one. Su Yan didn't hesitate. He directly poured the fluid from the cauldron onto Long Daesung's body. Buzz! In the blink of an eye, Long Daesung's flesh glowed as if he was wearing a cosmic armor. His entire body was situated in the ancient cosmos. This was a miraculous transformation. Long Daesung seemed to have been reborn by the cosmos. His entire body spewed out golden light. It was an extremely spectacular sight. You lucked out. Su Yan was envious. However, he knew that he had no use for the 7th grade fluid at his current stage. The Golden Immortal Cave's golden core alone was enough to help Su Yan grow stronger. Big brother, Xian Jun is too rich. Fan Jian exclaimed. True dragon blood and 7th grade life essence evolution fluid. These are 2 great resources that are hard to come by. Things like the Golden Enlightenment Pill are still manageable, but these 2 things are hard to buy even with money. Quick, let's see what's next. There must be a series of rare treasures. Fan Jian's eyes widened. This was a rare opportunity to broaden his horizons. Su Yan also wanted to know just how many good things Xian Jun had. Suddenly, Su Yan heard waves of sky-piercing cheers. He stood up and walked out of the door. His deep eyes gazed through time and space and saw the entire blood-stained region. This was the cry of victory. It surged vast and contained excitement. It also contained the momentum of the entire race. It burned fiercely. This was a great victory. This battle shocked the world. At the same time, this matter shook the entire battlefield. It was like a clap of thunder that exploded in the undying celestial domain. At the same time, blood energy surged in a certain region, blotting out the sky and covering the sun. A domain-illuminating figure rose from the ground and released a shocking divine aura. He was furious. He raised his arm and called for the Cien people's army to gather. Remnants of the celestial court, you may live. You may live. The second Cien people was furious. He wanted to lead his army to the third Cien people and massacre the celestial court. He shouted coldly, "But you must not stand upright between the heavens and the earth in the battlefield, in front of the people of the world. You are only fit to struggle at death's door. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy." Chapter 1536. The Battle of the Celestial Court shocked the world and shook the world. From this moment on, the Celestial Court, which had been silent for 1,000,000 years, began to shine again. It swept through the entire immortal celestial domain and caused huge waves. After all, they had taken down a city and forced the Cien people to flee. Very few soldiers managed to escape. Of course, this series of events was caused by the death of the Cien people's ancestor's disciple, Cien Jun, which caused a terrifying wave. Cien Jun is dead. The whole world was shocked. This was quite frightening. The disciple of the Cien people's ancestor, the heavenly eye of darkness, was once a heavenly genius. He severed his own cultivation and entered the myriad tribes' battlefield. But he had fallen, killed by the young Devil King. This was equivalent to the fall of an immortal sex powerhouse. How could the world not be shocked? Who is the young Devil King? The storm caused by this incident was getting more and more intense. The fact that the three kings of the Celestial Court were the same person was already outrageous enough. What was even more outrageous was, who was this person? Until now, the Cien people had not investigated Su Yan's background. A Xia Kunlun from the Celestial Bamboo lineage. He participated in the 9 Cauldron Continents auction and caused the Celestial Court ruins incident. They are the same person. Unbelievable. Then he is also an indestructible body. The 3 kings of the Celestial Court. This is the 3 pure ones, Qi. He has mastered the most powerful ability in history, 1 pure one's Qi. Shocking news spread out one after another. It could be said that no one in the world did not know this person. But who was he? In short, there were already people who called him the young supreme of the Celestial Court. He would definitely be a powerhouse who would hold up the entire race in the future. They are the same person. How could this be? How could this be? The Celestial Bamboo lineage was also in chaos. Zhu Lihui was trembling with anger. Wasn't this too outrageous? Then, the one who beat up Zhu Yao in Qingshan City was Xia Kunlun from the beginning. Bamboo Moon, Bamboo Yao, traitors, traitors, you bastards, Zhu Lihui roared in a low voice. His eyes had turned red. Cutting the weeds without removing the roots would cause endless trouble in the future. Now, he had tasted the bitter fruit. He had never thought that the young Devil King would erupt with such power under the siege of the Cien people. The entire clan was furious. They had been played around with by a youngster, so how could they swallow this resentment? Now that the truth was out, although they still didn't know what the young Devil King's background was, he was now known as the Supreme of the Celestial Court. I don't know when my clan's Zhu Yanghua will return from the ancestral land. I think it will be soon. He won't miss the battle of the 10,000 strong. Zhu Yanghua has acquired the primogenitor's artifact. I believe he will become an expert among experts after returning from the primogenitor's place of fortune. He will surely have the chance to be ranked in the top 10 on the monarch ranking. I don't believe that an unparalleled Yingjie can emerge from the destroyed Celestial Court. Can the Yingjie who is ranked in the top 10 on the monarch ranking? The world was in turmoil, and some of the old antiques were overwhelmed with emotions. In this era, the Celestial Court was indeed everywhere. A powerful descendant had indeed emerged. Just by killing Cien Jun, he already possessed the strength of the top of the younger generation. There were also people who mocked the Xian people for giving the Supreme of the Celestial Court a huge amount of resources. They believed that Xian Jun had severed his own life to cultivate again. He must have prepared a lot of rare resources to provide Su Yin with a super strong aid to step into the true immortal realm. That's right. Some of the Xian people's hearts were bleeding because Xian Jun had a grade 7 life essence evolution fluid on him. Even if this type of evolution fluid fell into the hands of an ordinary Void Immortal, it would be enough to help the Void Immortal become a top Void Immortal expert. That wasn't all. Xian Jun had prepared a lot of resources to break through to the true immortal realm. If they fell into the hands of Su Yin, the consequences would be unimaginable. Boom! In the third city of the Xian people, the Milky Way gourd bloomed once again. Spit it all out. Fan Jian roared. He released almost all of his energy, wanting to take out everything in the Milky Way gourd in one go. Su Yin was also determined. He pushed the vast energy source with both hands into the Milky Way gourd. Under the combined efforts of the two experts, the Milky Way gourd suddenly awakened. It enlarged by more than 10 times, spewing out the ancient aura of the galaxy. The mouth of the gourd also spewed out 3 treasures in succession. Spit it out. Spit it out. Fan Jian's face was ferocious. He kept pushing his own energy to make the Milky Way gourd spit out 10,000 treasures. What's going on? Su Yan's face was a little dark. Gone? Damn it, spit it out. Fan Jian roared. How could there be nothing left? Shouldn't the disciple of the Xian people's ancestor have thousands of treasures? Su Yan's face almost collapsed. He said angrily, "Watch your words. I think there are only so many treasures." This old man, could it be that he cut off his own cultivation and used all of his resources on this? Fan Jian's words reminded Su Yan. He nodded and said, "What you said is really possible. If he cut off his own cultivation and started from scratch, he must have needed a lot of resources. Maybe he really bet all of his wealth on this. Cutting off his own cultivation at the Zenith Heaven realm and starting from scratch? Ordinary people couldn't do it even if they had the courage because it required extremely precious resources. They didn't know what they were. In short, Xian Jun's Milky Way gourd only had so many treasures. Brother, what's wrong? At this time, Fan Jian noticed that Su Yin was silent. He followed his gaze and saw a strange stone. He also fell silent. A piece of silver stone floated in the void. It was like a meteorite from outer space. It was steaming with celestial light and flowing with the rhythm of the Great Path. Of course, what really attracted Su Yin was not this. It was that this stone seemed to have a life of its own. The sound of chanting could be heard coming from within. It sounded erratic, and he didn't know what it was saying. This was extraordinary. Even as the silver stone was steaming with celestial light, it was actually breathing. It was swallowing all the energy in the world and gathering it into the stone. The stone actually shone with a majestic aura of life. What is this? Su Yan's heart trembled. He reached out and grabbed the silver stone. He could sense that this stone was of a shocking degree. It contained a terrifying divine might. Su Yan's palm couldn't help but emit a divine light. He used the body-nurturing technique to swallow it. He felt that the material within the stone would be of great help to him. Boom! Strands of energy were stolen, causing Su Yan's body to shine. He released a rich aura of life. It was as if he had been baptized by the stone. He stood at his peak. Su Yin was frightened. What kind of treasure was this? It gave Su Yin exuberant vitality and made up for his losses. Wasn't this a bit too miraculous? Su Yin even discovered that as the stone's energy nourished his body, it stimulated his life essence and caused it to rumble on its own. It seemed as if it would pierce through a brand new domain. Boom! The silver stone suddenly rumbled and shined on its own. It was isolating Su Yin from stealing, as if it really had a life of its own. Big brother, stop. Fan Jian's eyes were red. He shouted, "Don't absorb its energy. Stop." He was very excited. He circled the silver stone and sized it up. He said in shock, "Heavens, this is a star origin stone. Xian Jun even has something like this, and is even hiding it for himself. This is a crime punishable by death. Star Origin Stone? Su Yin was surprised. Then he suddenly thought of something and said, could this be a supreme treasure used to refine the life, essence, evolution liquid? That's right. It's a supreme treasure used to refine the life, essence, evolution liquid. Fan Jian said excitedly. This is it. Its value is too frightening. If it was put in an auction, it would definitely fetch a sky-high price. This item can be used to refine the level 8 life, essence, evolution liquid. It can even be used as a supplementary material for the level 9 evolution liquid. Su Yin was shocked. It had the qualifications to refine the level 9 evolution liquid. In the entire immortal heavenly domain, those who had refined the level 9 evolution liquid could be counted with one's fingers. In short, it had never appeared in the history of the Sword Sect. Of course, it could be used as the main material for the level 8 evolution liquid. It was already a supreme treasure that would make people go crazy. To some immortal sects, if this item was discovered, it must be handed over. Since Xian Jun was hiding it for himself, could it be that he wanted to refine the legendary evolution liquid? However, just the Star Origin Stone alone was definitely not enough. For the level 9 evolution liquid, any divine herb was a treasure that was hard to find. Su Yin sealed it, as if he had obtained a supreme treasure. Fan Jian said with red eyes, Big brother, if you give this Star Origin Stone to me, the Sword Sect will give you 2 portions of the level 7 life essence evolution liquid. This was 2 portions, not 1. Su Yin pondered for a long time and said, if your Sword Sect can refine it now, I can consider a deal. This? Fan Jian smiled bitterly. How could this item be refined so easily? The required herbs were too difficult to refine. Even immortal sects had to spend a long time to accumulate them. Let's talk about this in the future. Su Yan's gaze scanned the next 2 treasures. One was a black sword embryo, and the other was a black battle suit. The black sword nucleus was extraordinary. The sword edge was cold and piercing to the bone. Even in its silent state, it gave people a shock to their souls. When Su Yin held the dark sword nucleus, he felt that he had mastered the dark purgatory and could explode with unimaginable power. He was shocked. What a vicious weapon. This should be Xian Jun's supreme treasure. As for the black battle suit, it was an Origin Spirit's secret treasure. After the Origin Spirit wore it, its defensive power would be extraordinary. Although Su Yin could not unleash the strongest state of the black battle suit, its defensive power alone was enough to resist any Origin Spirit attacks below the Grand Heavenly Realm. What a great gain! Su Yin was speechless. He did not expect that killing Xian Jun would give him so many unexpected gains. The Black Sword Embryo is too strong. Even if you enter the true immortal realm, it will be extremely difficult to use it freely. Why not sell it? Fan Jian's words reminded Su Yin. He smiled and said, Fan Jian, your sword sect should have experts who can control it. Why don't we make a deal? What do you think? You want to sell the Black Sword Embryo to our sword sect? Fan Jian patted his head. He had almost forgotten about this. He said excitedly, as long as we modify it slightly, the Xian people will not recognize it as Xian Jun's treasure. We should be able to trade it. With Fan Jian as the middleman, he was relieved. The reason why he was selling it to the sword sect was that he wanted a sword embryo with extraordinary potential. It would not be destroyed in the process of using it. Fan Jian left. This sword embryo was very important. After all, it was Xian Jun's natal treasure. If the sword sect did not show enough sincerity, Su Yin would not sell it to them. I forgot about this. Su Yin was not satisfied. He suddenly thought of something. He took out the jade bottle that Dao Shuyi had given him. He was curious. What did Dao Shuyi give him? He felt that it should not be too valuable. After all, how much could Xian Jun's corpse be worth? Chapter 1537. The brightly colored jade bottle looked extremely elegant. There was no seal on it. Su Yin opened the bottle stopper. This ancient jade bottle shone, and the inside was like a bottomless paradise. It even transmitted the sound of rotation. What is this? An artifact? Su Yin was astonished. His heavenly eyes shot out divine light. peering into the world inside the jade bottle. Suddenly, he saw a brightly colored universe rotating inside the jade bottle. There was no sound, nor was there any energy fluctuation. There is only one kind of aura that stimulated Su Yan's body, releasing the light of initiation. His entire person seemed a bit different. Scripture circulated, densely covering Su Yan's body. He seemed to have turned into the universe, starting to rotate along with the flow of air in the jade bottle. Boom! From this moment on, the jade bottle began to rumble on its own. The bottomless paradise world inside emitted a primordial aura, flowing with the phenomena of the beginning of heaven and earth. It evolved into primal chaos, starting to recreate the universe. It was as if the supreme great Tao was evolving, emitting waves of ancient heavenly might. He heard the primordial Tao sound from within, as if the most ancient heaven and earth mother scripture was being recited, urging Su Yan's flesh, bones, and organs to be densely covered with primordial Tao marks. It was even to the extent that at this moment, Su Yan seemed to have sublimated. His body began to breathe on its own, releasing auspicious multicolored light, his appearance solemn. Su Yan's body vaguely returned to primal chaos, about to undergo a reenactment. It emitted a terrifying flow of air, as if he had turned into a primal chaos, true immortal. Heavens! Su Yan was shocked. He frantically retracted his cultivation, suppressing the changes in his body in all aspects. He stammered, "What is this?" It almost made me step into the true immortal realm. This substance even stimulated my scripture, further perfecting it, evolving the order of the immortal Tao. The brightly colored jade bottle contained a mysterious gas. He couldn't see what kind of substance it was at all. In short, it was extraordinary. The help it provided to Su Yan was extremely heaven-defying. He might even be able to further perfect the primordial scripture. Su Yan didn't hesitate, sealing the jade bottle again. He couldn't use this thing now. He had to be in the immortal Tao realm to use it. Otherwise, if he stepped into the immortal Tao realm like this, Su Yan would lose the baptism of good fortune for being one of the top 10,000. Dao Shuyi, what did you give me? This object was very important, and it was even related to the initial scripture. He put away carefully. I didn't expect the harvest to be so amazing this time. Xian people, I really want to thank you. If it weren't for your trap, I wouldn't have gotten these things. Su Yan laughed, and his gaze fell on Long Daesong. Long Daesong gradually fell into a dormant state while being nourished by the grade 7 life essence evolution fluid. Its chest was breathing on its own, absorbing the energy of heaven and earth to replenish itself. Su Yan's face was full of smiles. The 10 transformations true dragon underwent a major awakening and would most likely sleep for a period of time. Luckily, the Xian people's third city had an abundance of undying materials, enough to satisfy the Long Daesong's awakening. Unfortunately, the only fly in the ointment was that Long Daesong was unable to dominate one of the top 10,000. Of course, this wasn't important. Long Daesong would definitely be able to secure a spot in the competition of the top 100 in the future. A 10 transformations true dragon of a generation. The top 10 on the monarch rankings wouldn't be a problem. Ha ha! At this moment, the Xian people's third city reverberated with laughter that shook the heavens and the earth. Good brother, I'm here. Where are you? Tensor, who was tall and majestic, shouted excitedly. He still couldn't believe that Su Yan had crawled out of the land of darkness alive and made it here alive. Everything seemed like a dream. Ha ha, Tensor. Su Yan rushed out of his residence and greeted the burly man who rushed in from outside the city. He was extremely excited. They were all brothers who had gone through thick and thin together. Now that they were reunited, Su Yan's nose was a little sore. The scene of the past was still vivid in his mind. The 10 immortals of the Xianwang universe faced the thunderous attack of the Xian people. It was a life and death calamity. It was all thanks to their support that they survived in the end. Now, they were reunited here. Good stuff. I knew you wouldn't die. Ha ha. Tensor came up and gave Su Yan a bear hug. He hammered his fist on Su Yan's chest. The brotherhood between them was self-evident. The blacksmith came as well. He was all smiles as he patted Su Yan's shoulder and said, "I'm so happy to see you. If the old village chief knows that we've all come to the battlefield of Emperor Road, he'll be very happy." When I left, Grandpa Village Chief was still in seclusion. With his strength, he might be a grand heavenly expert by the time we return to the Xianhuang universe. Su Yan sighed. Tensor and the blacksmith had changed a lot. They were already at the peak of the immortal realm. Although they were not void immortal experts yet, the two of them cultivated the immeasurable golden body. This was a shocking combat physique that was not inferior to the supreme treasure physique. If there were enough opportunities in the future, they could compete with the supreme treasure physique. Thump, thump, thump. At this time, the sound of the earth shaking came from outside the city. They saw a burly man striding toward them. Dali had become more powerful. He was already very strong. Now, he had the strength to tear apart dragons and tigers. "Big brother, I'm here." "Big brother." Dali's voice was rough. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. He looked very powerful. One had to admit that his chi and blood were too vigorous. It was like a burning furnace, blazing and rolling. "Good brother." "Ha ha." Su Yan became increasingly happy. He didn't expect to meet Luo Dali here. Moreover, Luo Dali's transformation over the years was astonishing. The bold and powerful man seemed to have gone through a lot over the years. Due to his outstanding talent, he had entered the strength sect to cultivate. This was an immortal sect that was not inferior to the sword sect. Dali roared, his eyes brimming with tears. This iron-like man was about to cry. Ever since he had followed Su Yan into the world of cultivation, he had treated Su Yan as his elder brother. Now that he looked at him, he could not help but roar. "This is great." Tensor, the blacksmith, and Dali. The three of them had strong bodies. They stood together with Su Yan and laughed. "It's great to see you guys. I didn't expect to meet here." Yuan came. His hair was messy, and he laughed heartily. His aura was getting stronger. He had become a pseudo-immortal and had a high position in the Flame Emperor organization. Behind Yuan, there was a young man as sturdy as a calf. There was a golden horn on his forehead that shone brightly. His body was as tall and sturdy as Dali's. He was strong and powerful. When he saw Su Yan, his eyes immediately turned red as he shouted, "Uncle Su Yan, Daesung Yo, you brat. You're already an immortal." Su Yan was overjoyed and shocked at the same time. Back then, Great Sage Nyo had followed Yuan into the Infernal Emperor organization. Not too long after that, he had also joined the Infernal Emperor organization. His bloodline was astonishing, and his path of cultivation was smooth sailing. Even though he had yet to reach Sempiternal Realm Pinnacle, he wasn't too far away from that. "So this is Long Daesung. I've heard Big Brother mention you before." Dali patted Nyo Daesung's shoulder with his thick palm. Then he took out a huge black axe and passed it to Nyo Daesung. "Ha, thank you, Uncle Dali." Nyo Daesung shouted happily. He held the huge black axe in his hand and waved it around. Su Yan laughed. In his eyes, Nyo Daesung was still a child. Back then, his name was given by Su Yan. "Dali, you're good. You can give me an immortal axe, so casually." Tensor's face darkened. He and the blacksmith did not join any factions and had limited good things. They could not take out anything decent as a greeting gift. Swish, swish. At this moment, a silver figure rushed in from outside the city. It was huge, and its wings were like silver sword embryos. It was blazing. It attacked Su Yan fiercely. "Damn it. Can't you be gentler?" The miser screamed as his body trembled from Su Yan's slap. One had to admit that Tai Rooster's aura was extremely powerful. It contained the chi of the true phoenix. It's not right to launch a sneak attack. A man in a yellow robe was covered in blood. He had an extraordinary aura and was comparable to the successors of the major immortal sects. His handsome face was full of smiles. "Emperor Nan, you are here too." Su Yan laughed out loud. He had gone through too much in this day, and now he was here. This battle also brought together all the brothers scattered all over the 10,000 tribe battlefield. Yuan and the others felt their blood boil as they laughed continuously. Yes, I'm here. Emperor Nan laughed. All of you prepare your greeting gifts. When you see my son, you can't be stingy. Take out all the good things and don't hide them. Tai Rooster laughed and pointed at Emperor Nan with his wings. He had not expected Emperor Nan to be married in the undying heavenly domain and even have a son. Back when Emperor Nan was wandering in the undying heavenly domain, he met a girl who had a similar temperament and joined a declining immortal sect. His life was very exciting, and he even had a son. Where's Baokai? Tensor looked around. Tai Rooster's heart skipped a beat, and his expression changed. Su Yin frowned. Could Baokai have met with an accident? Don't mention it. Baokai and I joined 1,000 demons sect together. However, Baokai went missing on the way to the undying heavenly domain. We couldn't find him. Tai Rooster was troubled. He could not find Tai Baokai anywhere. Baokai? Is he the black-hearted uncle that Nyo Dae Song always talks about? At this moment, Yin Kei arrived. She was charming and had a beautiful smile on her face. She's Yin Kei from the Flame Emperor organization. She's one of us from now on. Yuan said solemnly. I've heard of your great name. If Tai Rooster did not speak, he would look like a real silver phoenix. He was exceptionally strong and powerful. However, when he spoke and had a sinister smile on his face, it was obvious that he was not a good person. I don't know what happened to my brother. He came along the path to heaven and was attracted by a mysterious golden light. He charged forward crazily and disappeared without a trace. What? Yin Kei's expression changed slightly and said, Can you tell me more? Tai Rooster was shocked when he saw her expression. Back then, when he was crossing the path to heaven with Tai Baokai, he seemed to have seen a golden space-time wormhole. Baokai thought that it had encountered a great opportunity and could not be stopped. It bared its teeth and dashed forward madly, disappearing without a trace from then on. Could it be? Yin Kei was bewildered. Her expression surprised Su Yin, and he asked, Golden space-time wormhole. Could Baokai not be in the 10,000 tri battlefield? It's hard to say. Yin Kei shook her head slightly and said, Golden space-time wormhole is the third stage of the Emperor Road. Could it have fallen into the third stage of the Emperor Road due to some special reason? Something like this has never happened before. Su Yin was bewildered. In fact, Baotsai's origin could only be described as a mystery. Baotsai's birthplace was strange and ominous. If it were not for the 9 continents heaven cauldron, Baokai would not have survived. What era did Baokai originate from? This was an unknown. Don't worry. With Baotsai's temperament and the lost knowledge obtained from Dragon City, it has the ability to survive. Yuan said, The Emperor Road battlefield is so vast. We'll have plenty of chances to find it in the future. Let's not talk about it. We'll meet sooner or later. What have you guys been through all these years? Also, Emperor Nin even has a son. What surprise. Su Yin, how did you survive? Tell me. There were too many things that needed to be said between brothers who had been through life and death together. But now, a shocking storm suddenly erupted in the Xian people's second city. Boom! Troops after troops of soldiers rushed out. Their chi and blood surged, and their essence chi was strong. As they gathered together, they formed a raging sea that roared and shook the sky. The Xian people's second supreme being's aura was getting more and more terrifying. His cold appearance, invincible confidence, and strong confidence. It seems that the Xian people are about to arrive at the Xian people's third city. Is this going to start a great battle? The heroes were shocked because the entire space-time wormhole was flooded with essence blood. One could imagine how many elite soldiers the Xian people had gathered. Chapter 1538. That was about to fall. The smell of blood was still surging in the vast region. The Yin Emperor's cavalry was rapidly cleaning up the battlefield. They had a bountiful harvest. Hurry up. The Xian people might have a large army coming. Clean up the battlefield quickly. I want to go back quickly and see if the young Devil King who set up the trap in the Celestial Court is really that powerful. They were all excited. Some were talking about the young Devil King. They wanted to immediately reorganize their troops and rush to the ancient city to see him with their own eyes. Some also wanted to see how the Ingjia from the Xianhuang universe looked like. In short, these people were especially excited. The Yanhuang lineage had finally ushered in a chance to grow stronger. They hoped that more young generals could be born from their tribes. In the core region of the blood-stained region, the entire ancient city was brightly lit. They were laughing and chatting amidst the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Su Yin and the others sat on the ground and talked about their experiences over the years. Everyone had different experiences. Dudley was highly regarded by the power sect and was entrusted with important tasks. This sect specialized in cultivating the physical body. Dudley was, after all, extremely strong and had a high status in the power sect. However, before he left, he made it clear that he would replace his big brother and the Xian people to fight to the end. Su Yin, back then, the old leader, went on the road alone. I don't know where he went. Yi Yuan sighed. The old leader didn't come for this battle. He was worried that the old leader had encountered some danger or that he didn't even come to the battlefield. Don't worry. The old leader has crossed more bridges than we have. He won't encounter any accidents. I'm not worried about the old leader. I'm worried about East Devil. Su Yin frowned. East Devil was Tensor's brother after all. However, they didn't come together. Back then, East Devil also went on the road alone. One must know that during the Xianhuang universe, East Devil sneaked into the Yinyang Road and was contaminated by the dark matter. He was really worried that East Devil had encountered some accident. Otherwise, how would he explain it to the old village head when he met him in the future? The battle at the third city of the Xian people had already shaken the world. If East Demon and the others were at the 10,000 tribes battlefield, they would definitely rush over immediately. But since they were not here, how could the brothers be at ease? There's no point in having a headache. Everyone has their own opportunities. The Emperor's Road is not the only path that can create powerful cultivators in the world. Yi Yuan smiled and said, "You don't have to worry about your sister. She is living well in the Flame Emperor organization. Zi Xioning is also helping out in the shops run by the Flame Emperor organization. Overall, everyone is living well." When they walked out of the black-yellow universe, they also took away hundreds of young seeds. These people's realms were not high. What kind of opportunities they would encounter in the future depended on themselves. All right, how did you join the Flame Emperor organization? Su Yan was very curious. When he said this, Yi Yuan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Don't mention it. I met the Yin Emperor. What? Su Yan was shocked. He stared at Yi Yuan and exclaimed, Yin Emperor? You met the Flame Emperor? Who was the Flame Emperor? He was a super-wanted criminal who dared to make a move on the Xian people's sect master. He was a legendary figure. To Su Yan, such a person was unreachable. However, Yi Yuan actually met the Flame Emperor. This indeed shocked Su Yan. Yes, you're very surprised, right? I'm also very surprised. Yi Yuan sighed. The Flame Emperor asked me many strange questions. The main one was an old man with the surname Su. He even asked me about the inheritance that I obtained. Could it be? Su Yan was shocked. He sent a voice transmission to Yi Yuan. Big brother's surname is probably Su. It seems like the Flame Emperor is an expert who escaped from the Nine Cauldron Continent's celestial court 1,000,000 years ago. They call Big Brother Ancestor. This news left Yi Yuan dumbfounded. Ancestor? What an honorable title this was. In a sense, this title was even more honorable than the Celestial Emperor. In short, the origin of Big Brother Prehistoric was no longer important. What mattered was that he was the stabilizing force of the Celestial Court. Su Yan told Yi Yuan about the battle back then. Big Brother Prehistoric, the ancestor of the Xian people, the ancestor of the Wondrous Heaven sect, and the Lord of the Underworld. 3 terrifying ancestor existences who even wielded 3 of the strongest treasures. However, Big Brother Prehistoric still survived. One could imagine how terrifying he was. An ancestor-like expert who had lived for a long time was ultimately too powerful and outrageous. Good brother, come, let's have a toast. Fan Jian came over to join in the fun. He kept toasting Yi Yuan. He was also a friendly person. Su Yan glanced at Fan Jian from the corner of his eyes. Seeing his treacherous smile, he knew what this kid was thinking. Fan Jian had been asking him these days. Who was the Flame Emperor? Was it a man or a woman? In short, the Flame Emperor was extremely mysterious in the eyes of the world. Fan Jian also wanted to know more about the Flame Emperor from Yuan. As for the Dark Sword embryo, Fan Jian had already returned to the Sword Sect through the Sword Tomb. As for how the Sword Sect would trade, it would depend on their sincerity. You lost. Drink up. Flame Sparrow's figure was slender and charming. She was also a heroine among women. She drank a lot of good wine and mingled with Tinsir and the rest. They played boxing and drank to their heart's content. It was a quiet night in the bustling ancient city. It was rare for them to drink and chat happily. This made Su Yin feel very warm. Looking at how happy they were, he couldn't help but join them. He drank big bowls of wine and ate big mouthfuls of meat. It wasn't until the latter half of the night that the lively atmosphere dissipated. Flame Sparrow was drunk. Her cheeks were pink. She didn't suppress the alcohol, and she had never been so relaxed. After all, the younger generation of the Flame Emperor organization was limited. They were constantly in the midst of war. Very few of the younger generation survived from mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Now that Su Yin and the rest were here, she was more confident about the future. De Li and the rest had the potential to ascend to the void immortal realm. However, time waited for no one. After all, the battle of the strongest was about to begin. Zhu Sheng was very cruel. He tortured the ancestral hall's old master until he wished he could die immediately. After wailing in pain for almost an entire night, it was finally over. Flame Sparrow, I would like to know what happened in the past. At this moment, Su Yin spoke. He wanted to know what happened in the past. Back then, Flame Sparrow lay on the ground. She looked at the starry sky and mumbled to herself. I heard from the elders of the family that the three major forces attacked the Celestial Court. The Celestial Court's branches suffered heavy casualties. The other strongholds were also invaded. The branches of the Celestial Court in the 9 Cauldron continents were almost wiped out. She could not imagine what kind of era it was and what her ancestors had gone through. Her nose was a little sour, and her eyes were a little blurry. Her ancestors had encountered a calamity, and they could not smile in the underworld even until now. The reason for all of this was the disastrous defeat at the Emperor's Road's Ultimate and the invasion of the Xianhuang heavenly region by the dark matter. There were some things that Flame Sparrow did not know and did not understand. How many experts of the Celestial Court survived? Flame Sparrow did not know. This was a secret that could not be made public, nor would it be spread widely in the Flame Emperor's organization. In short, she had seen the Flame Emperor, but she had never seen him smile. Never. Obviously, the Flame Emperor had experienced the calamity back then. He knew very well how he managed to survive. He knew very well. In short, in the undying heavenly region, there were the Xian people, the 3 major immortal sects, and the immortal sects that attacked the Xianhuang heavenly region in the past. It was very difficult for the Celestial Court to rise again in the undying heavenly region. The Xian people would never allow the Celestial Court to rise again. It would never happen. Therefore, they could only rely on themselves to break the current situation. Save your strength and wait for the right time. Su Yan's eyes were cold. His long hair danced in the wind as he shouted coldly, "Sooner or later, we will defeat the Xian people and the underworld. That day will come." His eyes were red. The series of calamities back then was more or less related to him. Me too. Yuan stood out and shouted coldly, "That day will come. It will definitely come." Us too. Tinsir and the others stood up in unison. Each of them was as tall as the future king. Their presence shook the heavens and the earth. Boom! The atmosphere in the entire city was like a riot of demons. The scene was so terrifying that it lit up the darkness. In the ancient city, some of the old knights had tears rolling down their eyes. Looking at the vigorous young people, he believed that this day would come. He believed that when that day came, the Celestial Court would regain its glory. Report. Suddenly, a knight stepped through the transmission array of the Xian people's 3rd city. He rushed all the way to the Flame Sparrow and shouted, "The Xian people's 2nd city, the army has gathered." The The Xian people's second supreme has reorganized the army and is going to attack the Xian people's third city. As soon as he said that, the entire ancient city was stirred. Killing intent surged. Fight them to the end. Why should we be afraid of a battle? The ancient city rumbled. The young kings roared. Why should they be afraid of a battle? Why should they be afraid? Su Yan's battle blood surged. His eyes blazed, and his killing intent surged. Ever since he came to this city, he hadn't been idle. He had been deciphering the countless array marks in the ancient city. He was confident that he could master it as soon as possible. When the time came, the Xian people would have to pay the price in blood if they wanted to break through this city alone. Boom! From this moment on, a vast wave of energy was transmitted from the distant world. Powerful knights rushed out one after another. Large amounts of killing intent surged and merged together. It was like a boiling sea that covered the universe. Thump, 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 thump. 500 knights charged. The iron horses trampled the earth and shook the earth. They were like sharp blades that cut through the battlefield. Along the way, they emitted a destructive aura that changed the color of the sky and earth. The energy waves emitted here were quite intense. The 500 knights charged all the way back to the ancient city. At this moment, Su Yan realized that almost all of the knights were staring at him. They wanted to see what Xian Jun, who killed the Xian people's ancestor's disciple, looked like. Being stared at by so many burning eyes, Su Yan laughed loudly. "Greetings, brothers." The 500 knights were silent for a moment. Yan Jun, the leader of the 10 true immortals, waved his blood-stained war spear. The pungent smell of blood permeated the air. He shouted, "Greetings, Devil King! Greetings, Devil King!" The 500 knights roared. Their voices shook the clouds and exploded between heaven and earth. It was like thunder from the 9 heavens, surging violently. "I've been updating for the past few days. Tomorrow I'll explode. Arrange it quickly." Chapter 1539. Boom! A vast wave of energy swept through the entire region. Terrifying waves rolled, and divine light filled the sky. This was accompanied by a series of earth-shattering roars that exploded in the void. The energy waves were too violent. They whistled out and caused great changes in the world, attracting the attention of the heroes in the distant world. People trembled when they saw the Xian people's third region. The sky and earth were blood-red. The scene was terrifying. It was as if heavenly soldiers and generals had descended. Their surging battle auras filled the starry sky. Are they not going to leave? There wasn't a single outstanding hero who wasn't terrified. They took down the immortal race's third city, leading to a miserable massacre. The immortal race's great army was completely routed, and the glorious great sects lost all face. They lost the divine might they should have. Everyone knew very well that the Celestial Tribe would definitely not let this matter rest. The Celestial Tribe had a young supreme martial artist holding the fort, and their core army was gathered in the first and second cities. If the Celestial Tribe's strongest cavalry really came, who would be able to stand against them? However, the Celestial Court didn't withdraw. They chose to stay in the Xian people's third city. They released their terrifying will and peerless power. They were going to fight the Xian people to the end. Are they crazy? I admit that the Celestial Court is powerful, but they want to fight the Xian people to the death with only 500 soldiers? This is a fool's dream. That's right. Although the young Devil King and the others are tyrannical, if they really go head-to-head with the Immortal Clan, they will be the ones to suffer losses. But they actually chose to stay behind. I really suspect that they have been blinded by victory. The heroes discussed heatedly. It wasn't that they looked down on the Celestial Court. It was just that the Xian people were powerful since ancient times. They were truly a colossus. The Xian people's third city had suffered great losses and damaged the Xian people's foundation. However, the Xian people were at their peak. They could definitely launch a large-scale bloody battle. It wouldn't be difficult for them to wipe out the Celestial Court's army in the third city. Moreover, the Xian people had 2 young supreme beings and an invincible young giant who was ranked 3rd on the monarch rankings. If they really went all out, how could the celestial court withstand them? Could the young devil king withstand it? At the same time, in the second city of the Cien people, a large army had gathered. Killing intent filled the air, and as soon as Cien Kuei gave the order, they would attack the third city that they had lost. Boom! A muffled explosion rang out, and a giant teleportation formation above the ancient city opened. A large number of soldiers rushed out, their armor shining brightly, their swords flashing, and their battle cries spreading out. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of uniform footsteps could be heard as well, shaking the heaven and earth. There were too many soldiers rushing out, each of them surging with chi and blood, wielding murderous weapons. Hundreds and thousands of them charged out, quickly drowning the entire second Cien people city. The onlooking heroes were all terrified. The Cien people were getting serious. The core of the first city's army had arrived. Their diffusing auras intertwined, forming a scene of the starry sky collapsing. Roar! There were also enormous beasts that rushed out. Their backs were like the heavens, carrying a group of world-shocking soldiers and horses. They held bows in their hands. This was a group of divine archers. They were exceptionally cold and powerful, their eyes radiating with radiance. Dregs of the celestial court, how dare you contend with the Cien people? Kill without mercy. One after another, valiant generals rushed out with cold expressions. Each of them held a great killing weapon and rode on ancient beasts with cold scales. They rushed out from the teleportation formation and occupied the sky above the ancient city. The majesty of the experts pervaded the air and shook the world. Dregs of the celestial court, kill without mercy. The teleportation formation was blazing and surging. One after another, enormous vicious birds came out and spread their wings. Immediately, raging waves surged and blotted out the sky. The scene was frightening. Over 100 enormous vicious birds rushed out. This was the Starry Sky Combat Team. They could descend from the sky and take the lead in landing on the ancient city. They were weapons of war. Boom! In the second city of the Cien people, tens of thousands of soldiers had gathered. In the end, it led to a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. These were the elites of the elites. No matter which side they killed, they could sweep through everything and bring about a reign of terror. What a terrifying lineup. This is the ancient city that wants to directly tear apart the Celestial Court. I've already received news that the Celestial Court only has 500 cavalrymen. However, the Cien people have gathered tens of thousands of elite soldiers. Once they attack, who can match them? Who can? Yes, even a young supreme being would be smashed to pieces in an instant if he were to face the charge of such cavalrymen. What a joke. Even a peak true immortal would tremble in fear if tens of thousands of elite soldiers leaked their blood. In a stormy world, through the path to heaven, one could see the second major domain of the Cien people. Smoke billowed and rushed into the sea of stars. It was about to replace a corner of the universe and release its invincible combat power. On the contrary, although the third major domain occupied by the Cien people was also impressive, compared to the second major domain, it was nothing. Isn't the Celestial Court throwing an egg at a rock? If they don't leave now, what are they waiting for? After being humiliated for so many years, they finally ushered in a victory. I'm afraid that they have lost their minds. If the Celestial Court doesn't retreat, I'm afraid that some of the resources that they have accumulated over the years will be used up. Some people mocked and ridiculed. They didn't think that the Celestial Court had any hope of rising again. The Cien people were the real overlords. Moreover, the Mystic Heaven sect and the underworld had yet to make a move. Just the core army that the Cien people had mobilized was enough to flatten the entire Celestial Court. Although the 10,000 tribes battlefield was a place for the younger generation to fight for hegemony, if tens of thousands of elite soldiers really rushed out, who could match them? Why are the Cien people not sending out their troops? Are they going to call for more soldiers? All the experts were surprised. They wanted to watch a big show, but the Cien people didn't have the intention to send out their troops immediately. The decree of the sect master. Cien Kuei was surprised. He was about to set out to eradicate the celestial court. Even if he couldn't wipe them all out in one battle, he had to curb the awakened arrogance of the celestial court. He had to attack their morale and let them know the strength of the Xian people. However, on this day, a messenger from the outside world came. He knelt on the ground and respectfully handed the decree to Xian Kuei. Xian Kuei raised his big hand and grabbed the decree. After it was unfolded, the decree shone. Ancient characters flew out one after another, every single one of them containing supreme heavenly might. They were powerful beyond compare, wishing to display supreme natural laws. If this was placed in the outside world, it would be a great killing weapon with great value. One hit, one kill. Xian Kuei's expression darkened. A group of core members of the Xian people nearby walked over. Someone said, "The sect master personally gave the order." It seems like the sect master wants to eliminate the young Devil King. There can be no mistakes. But what kind of status does the sect master have? Why would he pay attention to a small fry? This doesn't make sense. This sentence has a deep meaning. Could it be because ancestor Xian Jun died in battle? The eyes of the Xian people's second supreme being were cold. As the sect master of the Xian people, it was impossible for him to pay attention to an immortal. Speaking of ancestor Xian Jun, the group of Xian people Ingjia sighed. They all felt that his death was too unjust. He had only killed himself less than a year ago and didn't possess the battle strength of the Golden Era. It was really not worth it for him to die in battle like this. One hit, one kill, Xian Kuei said coldly. The young Devil King is proficient in strange escape techniques. If he really encounters me and escapes, I'm afraid it will be difficult for me to kill him. Then, Xian Kuei said coldly, I can only fight him to the death when the battle of the top 10,000 begins. It seems like Father wants me to get rid of the young Devil King during the battle of the top 10,000. Similarly, under such circumstances, I can also fiercely attack the celestial court's arrogance. This is to redeem the face of the Xian people that we have lost. The sect master is indeed the sect master. He is really far-sighted. Everyone in the hall exclaimed. If Xian Kuei went over now, even if he really crushed the celestial court and killed the young Devil King, his role would be greatly reduced. If he killed the young Devil King on the Emperor Road's battle platform, it would be a good opportunity for Xian Kuei to rise up. Although his father was the sect master, if Xian Kuei couldn't display enough strength, the Xian people wouldn't give him too many resources. No matter what, the young Devil King was the instigator of everything that had happened in the past few years. As long as he could get rid of him, it would be a great achievement. His father even suspected that the 9 continents' heavenly cauldrons were with Su Yan. Even if he didn't have the 9 continents' heavenly cauldrons, it was very likely that he had the strongest ultimate treasure. As long as he could get rid of the young Devil King, Xian Kuei's harvest would be very shocking. Yan Emperor City. Originally, he wanted to name this place the Celestial Court Ancient City. However, the miser felt that it was not suitable. After taking down the 2 regions where the Xian people had the strongest military forces, it was more appropriate to call it the Celestial Court Ancient City. Su Yan, the Xian people are eyeing this place covetously. We have to be on guard, Yuan said in a deep voice. With just the 500 cavalrymen and us, even if we make the ancient city impregnable, it is almost impossible to resist the attack of the Xian people's elite troops. They were at war now. This was a cruel battle between tribes. It was not the time to show off one's heroism. They had to consider the consequences of any dangerous factors. Since the 500 cavalrymen were guarding this place, it was equivalent to putting their lives in Su Yan's hands. They had to consider everything carefully. That's right. Yin Kei also nodded. She frowned and said, but the morale is high now. We can't just abandon the city, right? However, if we stay here, it will be disadvantageous to us. Hearing this, Su Yin said coldly, I am afraid that they will not come. Just the 500 cavalrymen will be hard to resist. However, if they use the Celestial Soldier's divine escape technique, it will not be easy to break in. I almost forgot about you, the Grand Master of the Occult Arts. Yin Kei smiled. Su Yin, who wielded the heaven-opening writing brush, could even reconstruct the layout of the Celestial Court ruins. If he personally trained the 500 cavalrymen, he would definitely be able to unleash extraordinary power. Are you going to use the heaven-imprisoning dragon locking formation to resist the enemy? Emperor Nin smiled as he recalled the time when they worked together to resist the enemy. Hearing this, Su Yin shook his head and said, "The heaven-imprisoning dragon locking formation is indeed shocking. Of course, this battle strategy alone is not enough to defeat the Xian people's elite troops. The ancestral land does have some shocking battle formations," Yin Ke said. "However, this trip will take a long time. The Xian people might attack at any time. Although the journey is long, if they use the transportation formation to land in the nearby regions, they will quickly threaten Yin Emperor City. Don't worry, the occult arts 9 escape technique is enough." Although he had only mastered the 4 great escape techniques, just the dragon escape technique, tiger escape technique, and divine escape technique were enough to unleash the peak power of the occult arts. They could gather the power of heaven and earth and make the 500 cavalrymen even more powerful. Of course, what Su Yin regretted was that if he could activate the heaven-destroying sword formation, it would be very powerful. However, this sword formation was too shocking. Even Su Yin could not comprehend much of it. Although the Xian people's elite troops had mastered shocking battle techniques, with Su Yin, the Grand Master of the occult arts, who wielded the heaven-opening writing brush, standing here, any battle formation would be useless. The Xian people. I was really afraid that they would not come. Su Yan's gaze was cold. With the great battle approaching, his blood was already boiling. Chapter 1540. Su Yin used the 3 pure ones to teach the 500 cavalrymen how to change formations. It was impossible for all of them to become formation masters, but it was not difficult for them to form a battle formation in a short period of time. In the Battle of the Third City, the Xian people were caught off guard. Large amounts of resources were left behind in the treasury, benefiting the Xian people. Su Yin took out a large amount of materials from the treasury and created a clone to forge formation Dao diagrams. Of course, there were many experts in formation Dao in the Yin Emperor organization who could share the burden of Su Yin. The Xian people could come at any time. This period of time was too precious. They had to let the 500 cavalrymen execute Su Yan's formation Dao perfectly. If they could not do it, they could only retreat. Su Yin added Luo De Li and the others to the team. Su Yin had many immortal Dao puppets with him. Adding them to the 500 cavalrymen would increase their overall combat strength. Yin Jun and the others listened attentively. The other soldiers also knew that Su Yan's formation Dao had reached perfection. Back then, Su Yin used the Blood Sea Divine weapon to an extremely strong level. This had greatly benefited the Yin Emperor organization's teams of various sizes. Now, Su Yin was teaching them the pinnacle of formation Dao. All of them were fully focused, not daring to be distracted. With a master around, I feel much more at ease. What's disappointing is that time is a little short. Yin Ke muttered. She had already sent people back to the Yin Emperor organization with a batch of rare resources. Tensor and the others had hopes of reaching the pseudo-immortal realm. However, they lacked the most important foundation. This kind of foundation was rare even in the Yin Emperor organization. As for how many they could take out, they could only wait for half a month. 1. In a certain residence, silver light surged. It was blinding. Everything was accompanied by a silver divine bird. It was like a divine phoenix born from fire, crying out. Without a doubt, Tai Gongji's life essence was extremely strong. Su Yin obtained a golden soul pill. After much consideration, he finally decided to give it to Tai Gongji. He believed that Tai Gongji could reach the void immortal realm. After all, the golden soul pill was a primordial mystic pill. Since Xian Jun was preparing to break through to the immortal Dao realm to strengthen his primordial spirit, it was enough to prove the value of this pill. If the miser succeeded, his battle prowess would increase to an extremely shocking level. He might even have a chance to dominate the top 10,000 list. The struggle for supremacy was a bitter one. Even false immortals would be eliminated in large batches. This was a cruel reality. Most of the 10,000-plus territories were controlled by the sects, so seizing a position in the top 10,000 of a territory was equivalent to seizing food from the mouth of a tiger. The difficulty was obvious. However, regardless of whether it was the Yuan or the miser, both of them were sufficiently special. The Yuan had obtained a portion of the prehistoric Big Brother's inheritance, while the miser was like a supreme existence. These two had great hopes. Although Ali and the rest were very strong and shocking, they had only entered the immortal realm for a short period of time. If they really went up against the strongest inheritors of the immortal sects, their chances of dying were extremely high. In the entire immortal heavenly domain, there were 3,000 immortal sections. Although many of them were on the decline, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. The difficulty of defeating the strongest inheritors of these sects was imaginable. Other than Tai Gongji and Yuan, if Tensor could reach the void immortal realm, he also had a certain chance. After all, the inheritance he obtained was not to be underestimated. Boom! Outside the city, torrential rain poured down, and lightning flashed in all directions. Thick bolts of lightning fell from the sky one after another. In the direction of the source, the alchemy furnace glowed, and flames surged. Vast waves of immortal Tao could be felt from within, and a golden pill was about to be born. Liang Yan was sweating profusely, and a gentle smile appeared on her snow-white face. She was concocting the true immortal pill. The value of the true immortal pill was astonishing, and it required a complete stock of immortal medicine. They had gained a lot from conquering the third city of the Xian people, and the Yin Emperor organization had also gained a lot. Therefore, they had gathered 13 stocks of immortal medicine. Liang Yan did not disappoint. Although she had failed once, the second time she tried to concoct the pill, she finally succeeded. An 8th grade high-rank alchemist. You're really a little treasure. Quickly come into Big Sister's embrace. Yin Kei's lips curled up slightly, and she walked over to help Liang Yan resist the lightning punishment. After all, she was still young, and there was hope for her to become a grade 9 alchemist in the future. At that time, she would definitely be a prominent figure in the alchemy world. Hearing this, Liang Yan's cheeks turned slightly red, and she said embarrassedly, "Sister, you are joking. I am not qualified to be called a grade 8 alchemist. The main thing is that the alchemy furnace that Master Tianyuan gave me contains his alchemy principles, and it can help me concoct the true immortal pill." This green alchemy furnace was completely natural, and it was filled with a faintly discernible Daluo aura. It was Dan Tianyuan's beloved item, and he had given his alchemy furnace to Liang Yan. It showed how much Dan Tianyuan loved her. "Why are you being so humble? Giving it to others won't have much effect. I will take good care of you in the future." Yin Kei smiled playfully, and her jade-like fingers pinched Liang Yan's blushing cheeks. This was a treasure that could continuously provide strong support to the Yin Emperor organization. A true immortal pill was enough to increase the chances of a pinnacle immortal breaking through to the true immortal realm by 20 to 30%. If she could really concoct 7 or 8 pills, the Yin Emperor organization might have 5 true immortals. At that time, the lineup would be even more shocking. Liang Yan smiled shyly, and she was embarrassed by Yin Kei's actions, but she knew how important she was now. "I will definitely concoct more true immortal pills. Good luck." Liang Yan secretly encouraged herself. During the years in Danzong, she had learned a lot of alchemy skills. Since she had already succeeded in concocting 1 pill, the rest would not be a problem. Time passed day by day. It had been 3 days, and there was no news from the Xian people. Su Yin was surprised. Were the Xian people not prepared to come? They were making bold and decisive preparations here. When the time came, the Xian people might not say a word. "Big brother, I'm coming." On this day, Fan Jian returned. Su Yin was full of anticipation as he went up to welcome him. At the same time, he saw a silver sword embryo. It was bright and dazzling. The sword was 3 feet long and silver in color. On the blade of the sword, there was a silver dragon. It was like a real life, shining with divine radiance and spitting from the blade. "Take this!" Fan Jian shouted and waved the silver sword embryo. This sword was bright and dazzling, and it shattered the void. "What kind of treasure is this?" The Yin Emperor city was in an uproar. Everyone saw a silver sword embryo awakening, and the silver dragon on the sword started to dance. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the sword radiance exploded. As the silver dragon came back to life, the sword radiance filled the sky. The entire sky trembled, and the stars in the sky were shaking. One had to admit that it was very shocking. It was extremely powerful and sharp. Moreover, the silver dragon spat from the blade, causing the sword embryo's power to increase tremendously. "Great, it's really a divine weapon." Su Yin was pleasantly surprised. He wielded the silver sword embryo and activated it with all his strength. It was much stronger than the immortal extermination sword replica. Moreover, the sword body was not unable to withstand his strength and exploded. "This is the silver dragon sword," Fan Jian said. "In our sword sect, there is only one. It is a rare sword embryo with extraordinary potential. It was forged from silver sword stones. Big brother, this is a natural sword embryo. Treasured swords forged with this material are relatively easy to use. When a silver dragon sword is fully awakened, it can automatically absorb energy to replenish its losses." This silver dragon sword was not inferior to his natal sword embryo. A large number of young disciples in the sword sect yearned to master the silver dragon sword. They did not expect it to fall into Su Yan's hands. "Silver dragon sword." Su Yan smiled and said, "Not bad. I'm very satisfied." However, just the value of the silver dragon sword alone. Su Yan wanted to say something, but stopped. There was no need to mention the potential of the silver dragon sword, but its value could not be compared to the dark sword embryo. Su Yan naturally could not agree with just the silver dragon sword. "Ha, the silver dragon sword is definitely not enough, but with these things," Fan Jian chuckled and handed Su Yan a void bag. He said, "The elder said that if you see the things in this void bag, you will definitely be very satisfied." Su Yan looked around curiously, and his face immediately darkened. Fan Jian smiled treacherously, which made Su Yan speechless. "Big brother, how is it? Are you satisfied? The feud between you and the Xian people cannot be resolved without a foundation. These things are enough to equip a powerful battle team." Fan Jian was a little guilty, but he could not do anything. This kind of deal was not something he could decide. Your sword sect's elder is really cunning. Su Yan did not know whether to laugh or cry. There were hundreds of weapons in the void bag. There were sabers, spears, staffs, and all kinds of weapons. There were also 10 true immortal weapons. The value of this batch of resources was definitely very high. There were even 3 immortal Dao realm puppets and 5 true immortal realm battlesuits. Big brother, the silver dragon sword is no ordinary treasure. It's impossible for the sword sect to take out 2 such treasures to trade for the dark sword embryo. Moreover, just taking out the silver dragon sword to trade with you almost caused a quarrel among the old men in the sect. In terms of materials, the dark sword embryo and the silver dragon sword were on the same level. However, it was extremely difficult for the silver dragon sword to grow to the strength of the dark sword embryo. Moreover, this kind of killing weapon was a top treasure for the younger generation. Although the supplementary items from the sword sect were like chickens and phoenixes compared to the dark sword embryo, this batch of resources was indeed very important to the current 500 cavalrymen. Su Yan was not an indecisive person. He handed the dark sword embryo to Fan Jian. "Scram. Return to the team as soon as possible. Serve me for 3 years and compensate me for my losses." "Okay." Fan Jian left excitedly. The upper echelons of the sword sect were extremely shocked because of the sword physique technique. They did not expect that the young Devil King would reap such a great opportunity after disappearing with Fan Jian for half a year. Report. On this day, a cavalryman came to report the Xian people's second city has stationed their army there. They have not moved. Yin Ke was shocked. The Xian people had not sent their army? Now that Xian Kuei had also quieted down, what were they trying to do? However, this was also a good thing. It gave them enough time to prepare. They stopped at this time. Su Yin frowned and said, "Could it be that they are planning to attack this place after the top 10,000 tournament starts?" "That's very likely." Yuan walked over and said coldly, "If they really have this intention, it's very likely that they are coming for you. It seems like the Xian people want my head." Su Yin narrowed his eyes. He could not think of any other reason why the Xian people would want to attack. It was most likely because of this matter. When the top 10,000 tournament started, the Emperor Road battle platform would definitely appear. Then it would be a battle to the death. "Zhu Sheng, come here." Su Yin called Zhu Sheng over. What do you want me to do?" Zhu Sheng stammered. Su Yin would not chat with him for no reason. There must be something that he wanted him to do. Su Yin whispered in Zhu Sheng's ear. This made Zhu Sheng panic. His forehead was covered in cold sweat, and his face was pale. "Can I do it?" He doubted himself. Su Yin had asked Zhu Sheng to return to the Xian people's second city. In short, his identity was not exposed. The Xian people did not know that there was a traitor in their clan. "You can do it. I will split a primordial spirit to go with you. The Xian people's second city is now heavily guarded. You're the only one left, Zhu Sheng." Su Yin said, "The Xian people want to take my head when the top 10,000 tournament starts. They have a good plan. I will not let them succeed." Zhu Sheng wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Su Yin was up to something. "Whether it works or not, I will give you a true immortal pill." Su Yan's words made Zhu Sheng excited. A true immortal. With the help of a true immortal pill, he had a great chance of breaking through to this realm. "I will complete the mission." Zhu Sheng patted his chest and promised. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. A war is coming. Chapter 2. Brothers, please vote for me.